97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com. Middays with Marks. What up, everybody? Hello. Good morning, everybody listening the old-fashioned way, 97.5 FM in Philadelphia. That's the frequency. The call letters, WPEN FM. Good morning, everybody listening on the Fanatic app. I love to listen and now watch. There's a video player on the Fanatic app that you can watch. First thing I went to the app yesterday, my face, complaining about something. Good morning, everybody watching live on YouTube. You should subscribe to 97.5 The Fanatic on YouTube. Smash the subscribe button. You can watch live, get involved in our chat with our chatters. It's a lot of fun. And we say good morning, producing me for the first time at this radio station, Nick Earnshaw. Good morning, Nick.
Oh, good morning, Johnny Marks. How are you today?
Previous life, I worked with Nick, and he was always one of my favorites. And I think I can make him uncomfortable with certain topics. Nick Nick's awesome, and I can't wait to work with him today. But a lot like Nick Earnshaw, very buttoned up, professional in our number 2 chair today. Not the producer, but the co-host. Say good morning to Ray Dunn. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Johnny. I appreciate the professionalism shout out right there.
Well,
That's very nice of you.
well, sometimes I look at you as a professional.
Yeah.
Other times I look at you as an idiot.
I stayed home last night. I'm fully rested. I'm ready to go. Professionalism at 100 today.
Well, by the way, before we get into the Eagles, which we're going to do from the start of the show, hashtag go get Bo. Hashtag go get Bo, because if he does, Ray Dunn's going to be wearing his walking shoes because he's going to be walking from his apartment to the studio. And you know this is happening now, correct?
I'm now on board with it happening. I believe it's happening. And I was walking around during our meeting yesterday. We had a meeting with the boss. I was walking around. I'm getting legs ready to go. I got 2.5 hour walk that's coming up sometime in February. I'm sure on a 30-degree day where I would rather be doing anything else than be outside.
And who's going to walk with Ray when Bo Bichette signs with the Phillies? Who's going to do it? How many hundreds of people are going to come out and say, let's go? And united, Middays with Marks, Phillies fans, and 97.5 The Fanatic marches to Bala Kenwood. Unbelievable time. It's going to happen.
Hundreds of people, I'm sure. Hundreds of people will watch me walk past them.
No, they're going to walk with you.
Yeah.
We'll be right with you, Ray. All the way down, all the way to one ballot positive.
Harry said he would.
Harry said he would.
Harry said
We'll
he would.
see if he follows through on that one.
But I'm like, all right, maybe not hundreds. Tens?
Tens? I
10?
can imagine tens.
10?
10?
8?
I could imagine 10. 10.
Do
Maybe
the
a
employees
dozen.
here count?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, I could get to 10.
As long as you're not being paid, they count. All
I
right?
want to video it. Can I be the guy in the car going next to you?
We're going to have a Waymo that is responsible for being the tail car in case Ray breaks down and has to be taken to the hospital.
Are you guys just going to, GoPro me up? Like, I'll just have one on the head, one
Sure.
body, just all over?
Hold on a second. We had Waymo Wednesday yesterday. We didn't get to.
Oh, crap.
All right, Waymo Thursday's coming up here later on. All right, so let's stop fooling around. We got very serious business to get to
Got a
here,
lot to
Ray
get to.
Dunn. Oh, my God. Very, very busy show.
Busy show.
So without getting into, I don't need to play the back and forth between the two shows, but Bill Colarulo had Zach Berman on 2 days ago on Unfiltered, Bill Colarulo and Ricky. And Bill asked him about the season. Did he ask him if it was the disaster?
Morning show asked about the disaster.
Morning show asked him about
Berman
the disaster.
Yes.
Bill played the
Yes,
cut.
played the cut.
Bill played the cut. So do we have the Zach Berman cut? All right, let's just play the Zach Berman cut. Here it is. Come on, Earnshaw.
I don't think this
There
was
it
a disastrous season. I mean, the Eagles won 11 games. They won the NFC East. And I understand that they underachieved relative to their talent and relative to kind of what they thought they would be. But, if their down year is 11 wins and making the playoffs, that's pretty good compared to what happens elsewhere in the league.
All right, so I don't want to, I'm not going to compare other teams in other cities or even teams in this city, right? Because everything is different. The Eagles winning 11 games and winning the NFC East is different than the Cowboys winning 11 games and winning the NFC East. Or the Giants, it's
Right.
It's where each team is in each particular year. Let me give you an example. The Phillies lost the World Series in 2022, but they made the World Series. And nobody expected it. The way they lost the World Series, they were at home. They had a series lead. They got no hit, the game I was at, and they end up losing the series. Not a disaster because they made the World Series when nobody expected that. Like that was disappointing end to the season, not a disaster, right? 2 years later, or the year later when they lose to the Diamondbacks, is the whole season a disaster, or was the end of the season a disaster? Right? Like, then you start thinking about it's a disaster. Yeah. When they lost to the Mets the following year, that's a disaster to me. Because you went from being in the World Series almost winning to having a disaster of a finish against the Diamondbacks, and now you lose to the Mets, and you're lifeless. It's like, all right, this has turned into a disaster. So it ranges from like sport to sport, city to city. The Philadelphia Eagles in 2025 were not a disaster at all. They weren't a disaster. 2023, bit of a disaster. 10-1, totally fell apart. Super Bowl favorites, 11 games into the season, and they end up getting blown out by the Buccaneers in the first round of the playoffs. They lost the Super Bowl the year before, so you weren't supposed to come back and lose in the first round and get blown out. The offensive coordinator sucked. Brian Johnson, they fired him. Like, it was internal stuff, Jalen Hurts and everything else. That was a disaster. Ray, tell me if you agree. 2025 Eagles were not a disaster.
They were not a disaster, but the more we talk about this, the more I come back to the shows we had following the end of the Philly season this year, where we had the great conversation about
Fine line.
And now we got Sirianni with the fine line, too.
That's true.
And it's okay. The Phillies won one postseason game. They lost in the first round after the expectations were they were going to do something. Now, they lost to the Dodgers, which you could argue the Dodgers to baseball versus the 49ers to football.
We have a good club.
The Phillies lost to the better squad comparatively to the rest of the league than what the Eagles lost to in the 49ers.
The Eagles did not lose to a better team on paper.
And while we talk about whether or not it's a disaster, I was actually on the phone with our buddy Kevin Cooney yesterday, and he was talking about just the end of the season and everything. He's like, is there any world in which we see a 2023 repeat if they didn't have two doormats waiting for them late in the season? Like, the Raiders were basically checked out. You had Kenny Pickett in the cold. That was a disaster of a football team that kind of bioed you and gave you a win. The Commanders game, first half was ugly. They ended up pulling it together in the second half against Josh Johnson. And those were your two wins down the stretch, save that Bills game that they win close, and they finally had found something where I think they finally as a group were like, all right, we're back together. We put ourselves back together, back-to-back wins. Like, how close were they to 2023? We say 2023 was a disaster. This wasn't. How close did we actually get to it? Because I fought that for a long time. And looking at it now from the macro lens, I don't think this year was a disaster. But the more I keep thinking back to this year and now where we're at with the expectations, disappointment feels a little too generous for where we're at.
Eagles lost 6 of 7 to end the season in 2023. Right. They had a home game against the Arizona Cardinals where if they win, they win the division. They gave up 20-some points in the fourth quarter. They fired their defensive coordinator in the middle of the season or demoted him and brought in Matt Patricia, which didn't work. You had an offensive coordinator that it just looked like this year, just had no chance. And you had a head coach that, and now we know that he just is incapable or unable or just unwilling to help the offense. In 2023, it just felt helpless. Like, well, Nick, get involved. We know you didn't do a great job calling plays. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be more involved. How about we see you call plays? He didn't do it.
And he knew 2 years later that he had those deficiencies 2 years prior, and nothing got fixed. And they didn't do anything in season this year, and we were screaming for it. Remember the bye week? Remember how they go into the bye week after beating the Giants?
Yep.
And what a 2 weeks of just nothingness for us. We were sitting there like, oh, well, they've won back-to-back games. Offense looks good. Hey, this team's going to come out and figure it out. And then the month after that, they score 10 points against the Packers. They score 16 against the Lions. Like, this was not a disaster. But the more we talk about this, the more I think we're being generous if we just call this a disappointment.
No, I mean, you're right, but that doesn't make it more of a disappointment. It doesn't make it a disaster. It just means that you're talking yourself into it. So we have the nice long segment here at 610-632-0975. 610-632-0975. As we look at the season right now, maybe as time goes by, we don't look at it so harshly. Maybe it hurts even worse. Sometimes it doesn't sting as much, and then the longer you get away from it, you're like, well, damn, you know what? That really was another opportunity. Was the 2025 Eagles season a disaster? Not just the ending. We're talking about the season. Was it a disaster? Kincade and Salciunas screaming and yelling, biggest disaster of all time. Not surprising that was the takes from them, but somebody has to be an adult at this station, and I guess that's going to have to be the voice of reason. Me. Who would have thought that I'd be the voice of reason? Many weeks ago, Ray, I didn't, and I'm not a guy that says, oh, well, I said this or I said that. But it occurred to me, and I don't even know when it was in the season.
Sometime in the losing streak.
Yeah, it was when it was pretty apparent this team wouldn't win a squat this year. And I said it. I said, you know what? Like, I'm at the point where last year, the way that they won with running the football and the offensive line, like everything, it was a once-in-a-generation type team. You can't just do that year after year. And the offensive line being injured and Jalen not looking great and the internal problems with A.J. Brown and the injuries that were happening on both sides of the ball and the fact that it is so difficult to win back-to-back in the NFL. It's just, there's teams that do it, the Patriots and the Chiefs, and then there's everybody else. A lot of teams win Super Bowls. Not a lot of teams win 2 in a row. And that's the way I felt at that point. It was like, this just isn't the year. Saquon's not the same back because the offensive line's not doing the same thing they were. They're banged up. And just after winning the Super Bowl and reaching the highest mountain, now you have to climb back all the way up. And it's difficult to do in that second year. So I knew at that point, I was like, yeah, like things can change, but things ain't changing. This was not a disaster. A disaster would have been missing the playoffs. A disaster would have been like the quarterback is benched. Like there's been a lot of disasters, like the Sixers last year, Ray.
Disaster.
Disaster.
The greatest case for this not being a disaster is by saying the definition of disaster. Like you have to have something before that. Because if this is a disaster,
Sixers disaster.
What's a 4-13 season? If this is a disaster, what is the way 2023 ended? What is like go back to the year after the Eagles went to the Super Bowl in 2004, like the McNabb TO everything, and then McNabb gets hurt that whole season. Like there has to be something beyond this. Like they're a disaster. We've seen it. The year that Reed gets fired, they start what like 3-1.
Disaster.
The year
Chips
Peterson gets fired,
disaster.
So that's like the line like. That's probably where you go and you cross into disaster territory. Does sound a little permissive though right now. It does sound a little bit like, hey, I'm Johnny Marks. I was out of the season 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks ago,
yeah,
and now that it's over, it's like we can finally put to bed. You sound a little permissive on what happened. Like, it's all right. This is still a team that, albeit that they maybe didn't expect them to win a Super Bowl, they didn't win a playoff game. They didn't win a home playoff game. They got a home playoff game against the 49ers, who were starting guys who were on the street 2 weeks ago defensively, and they lost the game. It's a little permissive to just be like, just write it off. They're not going to go back-to-back. You can't. I need a playoff win.
Nick, we just went over on the permissive over-unders. It was on the BetParks app. Ray just went over in the first 12 minutes of the show.
Way over. Slammed it.
See what happens when you put him in the number 2 chair? Uses big words like permissive, which I'm guessing I know what it means based on how he's using it.
Yeah, context clues.
Big word.
You can take the SAT again.
All right, yeah. So, Nick Earnshaw, disaster or not?
Disappointment's the best word for it. For me, I don't think it's a total disaster. I look at this team right now, and I compare them to the San Francisco Giants of the 2010s, right? You win one year, you lose the next. You win one year, you lose the next. I expect a Super Bowl next year at this point, but I think overall it's a disappointment because there's no evolution of this offense, and Kevin Patullo, in my estimation, did not do a great job at calling the plays, and he wasn't the right guy from the get-go, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. And not only did it not, there's no evolution, they regressed. This offense regressed. Jalen Hurts a better quarterback. You can blame Jalen Hurts. You can blame the Eagles. Jalen Hurts a better quarterback right now than he was start the season? No. Yeah, that's terrible. It's like I'm not trying to shine a turd, bro. You know what I mean? Like I understand it's bad, but you're coming off a Super Bowl.
So all right, the Rams Bills win the Super Bowl. One of the two of them. Everyone will sit there and say, "Well, the Rams we thought all season long were this great team. The Bills, Josh Allen had to have his time." It's like the freaking Seahawks win the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, or God forbid the 49ers go and do it, or Bo Nix wins a Super Bowl. Like, if you look at one of those teams that goes win a Super Bowl, are we going to sit here in 4 or 5 weeks and say, man, what a wide open field it was? This team could only pulled it together.
I'm not. That's why it's almost good for us that they lost to the Niners, because if they were able to beat an injury plague, then now it's like, oh my God, we really can get back to the Super Bowl. This team was never getting to a Super Bowl. With that play calling, with that offense, they were never getting to a Super Bowl.
Was that kind of a disaster with the talent on the team?
No, it wasn't. Like, it's just because of injuries. Like, I know that we want to demand our teams win the championship every year, and if they don't, then it's a disaster. You're not going to win every year. Even if you're built to win every year, you're not going to. it's so difficult to win back-to-back. It just is.
Is it because the Chiefs were so good and they were a dynasty that we automatically thought, hey, the Eagles are going to be a dynasty too because we ended one kind of last year?
2017, they win the Super Bowl. Even though we're saying Carson Wentz isn't ready to start the season. Even though we're saying, yeah, they can win another one. And they did go back to the playoffs, and they did almost make an NFC championship game. But
they won a playoff game.
They did. And
that team accomplished more.
They did. But they were also mercenaries. And as much as they were ended up being better in the playoffs the next year, they weren't built to sustain it. This team's built to sustain it. This isn't oh my God, like when the window closes and you lose, that hurts because it's like that was probably our last chance to win. That's the way it felt in 2008 with Donovan. It's like, well, damn, if they're ever going to win a Super Bowl, it would have been that year. 2002 with the Eagles. Is that a disaster? Borderline, 2003 is a disaster. To go back to an NFC championship game for the third straight year and to get pushed around by the Panthers, they looked pathetic. That was a disaster. They go out and get T.O. I know what disasters look like. This wasn't a disaster.
It wasn't a disaster. However, the more we keep coming back to this, they didn't win a playoff game. They got a home playoff game against a 49ers team that was banged up. They lost. Like, the idea you can't win back-to-back, sure, I'm good with that. But there are plenty of teams in the NFL that we question whether or not they're winners that can win in the postseason, that'll win postseason games every year. Like, that'll get further than where this Eagles team got.
Chiefs, disaster.
Yeah. Oh, you want to go down the preseason top 10 odds? I went through today because I was like, I want to really dive into who had disasters.
Ravens, disaster.
The Eagles, Bills, and Ravens were all the tied for the top spot in terms of favorites. Ravens missed the playoffs. Bills still going. Obviously, the Eagles are out. Chiefs were next. Missed the playoffs. Packers out in the wild card round. Lions missed the playoffs. Commanders, disaster. 49ers, still kicking. Rams, still kicking. Bengals, disaster.
Yep.
Zach Taylor still has a job. He's the only guy in the AFC North that kept his job.
Joe Burrow also missed half the season.
Right, but it's a disaster. I mean, he's been hurt. Now the question is, can he get through a full season?
Yeah, it's a real question.
That's a disaster for them.
All right, 610-632-0975. Phone line, text line. I want someone to make the case that this was a disaster. And really, Nick used disappointment. I mean, for lack of a better term, it was disappointing to see how the most disappointing wasn't the wins or losses. The most disappointing was, again, we're back to looking for an offensive coordinator. And now the story's coming out that the offensive coordinator is going to have full autonomy. Mm-hmm. They want to bring a guy in with their own system. Maybe they're going to be challenging Jalen Hurts to improve as a passer. I mean, I think that's really what this is about, is that we're not running the Nick Sirianni offense. We're not running the Jalen Hurts offense. We're actually running a real NFL offense. And if you can't do that and you can't improve with good coaching, then maybe we don't have the right quarterback. I don't know. I mean, that's how I read the whole situation yesterday.
I read it as you guys all have to evolve. Like, we can't keep doing this. Because I go back to the Sirianni quote before 2023 about we're just going to do what we do, but better. It's like, no, that's not how the NFL works. You know how many guys are paid? They've got like 37 defensive assistants that are analyzing every single play you do and every single snap. Like, they know what you're running. If you just plan on continuing to do the same thing because you think you're good at it, they're going to figure it out. You have to evolve with the NFL. And he seems very set in doing his thing. And I saw yesterday, the yards for RPOs in the Eagles offense, 2022, quite a bit. 2023, not a ton. 2024, quite a bit. 2025, not a bit. When someone has a bigger control over the offense, what's happening to it? You've said all week, he's not an offensive coach. He's the CEO.
Nope.
And they're going to have a second CEO if they keep Patullo. Don't worry. We'll just keep stacking up guys that we don't believe in as offensive minds to be CEOs here.
Debate.
Yeah, can we do it as a show? Nick Earnshaw, can we do it as a show where we just say Middays with Marks, we don't talk about Nick Sirianni. We speak of him like he has never coached offense before because that's the way he's being treated, and that's the way he's acted.
He's got a vibes background. That's his background. His background is in vibes.
Chief Vibes Officer?
Yep, that's exactly it.
So Nick and Howie are speaking today at 2 o'clock.
That's right.
Is that what they announced a promotion for Nick? He's now the Chief Vibes Officer for the team, CVO.
Everyone loves Patullo in there, so he could be the CVO. Because that's all we've heard. Is Patullo's not getting fired. It's because he's well respected in that.
Everybody likes him.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know why you know that's true? No one complained about him through the media. No one went to the media and said this guy totally doesn't know what he's doing, because he doesn't. They know that. He was overmatched at the position. No one talked bad about him. Even Jalen, who loves to not give Nick Sirianni a good answer when he's asked about him, with Patullo, other than that last question, he talked about KP and whatever, so they did like him. All right, coming up 610-632-0975. Phone line, text line, 610-632-0975. What do we have coming up in the second segment in addition to some reaction?
Jumping into this team for this season? Are they ever really as good as we thought they were?
Is the talent as good as everybody talks about? That's next. Middays with Marks, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Oh, well, the Phillies outbid everyone for Bo. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies continue to be rumored to be the favorites for Bo Bichette as ESPN's Jeff Passan echoes as to why the Phillies are still a favorite, and the expectation is they will be the highest bidder.
I think the expectation is that the Phillies, at the end of the day, are going to be the highest bidders. They have reason to go after him, and they have a need, not just for like the right-handed complement to the Schwarber and the Harper, but also just to rejigger that clubhouse.
The New York Giants, they are reportedly filling their head coach opening. It happened overnight. Adam Schefter reported that the Giants and former Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh are working to finalize an agreement for him to become the next head coach up in New York. Reports suggest that it will be a 5-year deal worth close to $100 million. The 76ers were blown out by the Cleveland Cavaliers last night by a final score of 133-107. They will be back in action tomorrow night against the Cavs once again. Flyers, they fell to the Buffalo Sabres last night as well, 5-2. This update is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org. I'm Nick Earnshaw on your home for the Sixers, Flyers, and the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
me, Ray Dunn in the number 2 chair. Nick Earnshaw producing today. Go out to the phone lines coming up in a second. An old friend is on the line. Room for you as well. 610-632-0975. That's the phone line. What is the text line saying, Ray? I feel like it would be, what do you think if we put a YouTube poll up for the live chatters asking if the year was a disaster? Not what would you term it. Was 2025 a disaster for the Eagles? Put that up if you can hear me back there, Dutsy or Nate. But what does the text line say?
Text line here, Sean from Simmons, and everyone knew the offensive coordinator wasn't good enough. Every single week, the offense was a talking point, yet it took 19 weeks for a change, going 11-7 in this NFC with losses to the Giants, Dallas, and Washington. And a depleted 49ers team is unacceptable. It was absolutely a disappointment and an avoidable one. Hiring a competent OC doomed an incompetent OC doomed this team. So not quite going the length of saying it's a disaster, but pretty much making the argument that it's a disaster without saying it's a disaster.
So he said, did he say unacceptable in it?
Unacceptable.
Because if you said that it was unacceptable, I would be like, okay, let me think about that. As opposed to disaster, the immediate reaction is it wasn't a disaster. Like, all right, like I know they just lost on Sunday, but it wasn't a disaster. Unacceptable? Yeah, I mean, I don't think disappointing is strong enough of a word.
Right.
Because the entire NFL was wide open. So the opportunity, if you could figure it out, was there. But and the offensive coordinator, it's not just that they were banged up or whatever. The offensive coordinator, which a lot of people didn't like the hire based on Brian Johnson, proved to be exactly what a lot of people thought it was.
They went 3-3 against this NFC East.
Yeah. You know what burns me the most? They had the opportunity during the season to fix it and to bring somebody else in to do anything. Then just sit there and say, no, we're going to ride it out with Patullo. And they elected not to do it. I don't know if they investigated it. I don't know if they said, you know what, it's just not worth it. They were never going to bring in a Daboll or somebody like that. Stop with that. But could the quarterback's coach have said, you know what, I'm going to call plays? Could they have tried anything different? They should have tried something different. And that pisses me off.
They almost got cushioned at the bye by the fact they had those 2 games before the bye. Like, oh, we got to change things tremendously? How much more do we have to change? We just beat the Vikings. Passing game looked good. We beat the Giants. The running game looked good. Oh, yeah, we've won 2 in a row. Like, if they had gone into the bye the way they went into the bye the Super Bowl season,
they would have been forced to do it.
They would have been forced to make some sort of an adjustment, right? You would feel like at that point. Not that I want them to go into the bye having lost 4 straight and be 4-4, because we're probably talking about a whole different season. But in retrospect, how quiet were we? What were we pining for? We weren't pining for anything. We played the cut yesterday about how when we put pressure on the organization's forced to act because it's Philadelphia. It was Sean Salisbury that said that. Like, there was no pressure put on by us. There was no pressure put on by the.
I think you forget it. No, it was nuts on Patullo. People were obsessed with Patullo all season long.
But after they win 2 games in a row and go into the bye,
made you feel better.
It's not even like. Because what sense would we have to come on here if they scored 30 against the Giants and be like, screw it, this team blows?
It made me feel better going into the bye, and then when they came out of the bye and they were playing the way they were, that's where I was like, yeah, they're not winning anything this year. There's no figuring this out. You still thought they could figure it out. You did. Like Patullo, I had said this earlier in the season. I'm not going to go nuts yet because it took Kellen Moore a couple weeks. Remember the post-bye offense was terrible. Post-bye, we're just going to run the ball, and it worked. Patullo had no experience as an offensive play caller. You had to at least give him a little bit of rope, and he couldn't figure it out.
No,
but yeah, it was totally avoidable. They could have tried something different. They didn't have to sit there and just say, okay, we'll ride it out. Pretty clear. It should have been clear to everybody this guy wasn't going to figure it out. But yet, right until the last second of breath, we thought they could figure it out, Ray.
Yep. I mean, I did. I thought. Figure it out's probably a little generous because if we were doing this week, we were getting ready for Chicago. I would have been the one that everyone would have been telling, get a dog if you're scared, because I do not think they were going to Chicago and winning.
How about that?
But I am still, again, shock's not the right word, but I was really surprised that we had to do the season's over conversation after the first playoff game. I just didn't think that they were going to lay an egg like that for you. And they did it perfectly, the way they did it all season. But it was surprising. By the way, this team against playoff teams this year, because we talked about how tough the schedule is going to be, how tough it is to go back-to-back. As it turns out, that Kansas City game was against a team that didn't go to the playoffs.
Correct.
That Tampa Bay game was against a team that didn't go to the playoffs. The Lions game, team didn't go to the playoffs. They ended up 3-3 against teams that went to the postseason. They lost to the Bears. They lost to the Chargers. They lost to the Broncos. They beat Green Bay. L.A., and Buffalo.
Yeah.
It looked very tough at the beginning of the season. It's not that it wasn't a difficult schedule.
They had some good wins.
They did.
They had good wins. They didn't go through beating every bad team in the book and losing to every good team. This wasn't a Jonathan Gannon where his defense faced an above-average quarterback. He gets shredded.
Right.
They had their moments, but it wasn't because the offense was really ever good. It's because their defense played well. They did find ways to win games.
They did.
Now, the Buffalo game, that was luck. That should have been a loss. Should have been Josh Allen if he could throw to a wide-open receiver for a 2-point conversion.
See if we want to play a should-have game, though. How many times you blocking back-to-back kicks against the Rams?
The Rams. No, you're right. The Rams. That is. Remember when I said that going into the playoff weekend? I said that was what term did I have for the Rams winning?
Fluky.
I was like, that's a fluky win. What are you talking about? Oh, it happened after the Commanders lost. Put any team in front of us, we'll beat them.
I got into it with a friend last week because I did and this is a conversation I had with you. I think, Nick, we had this conversation too about, are you more confident they beat the Niners by double digits or lose the football game? And a lot of people, they're winning double digits.
Everybody said double digits.
And I was like, okay, when they win by double digits this year?
Yeah,
the Raiders?
Well, you
the
picked
Commanders?
them to win by double digits
No, I
last
didn't.
Friday. Oh, you 24-20. 24-20.
I didn't even have them covering.
Everybody else had them winning by double digits.
They beat the Giants, the Commanders, and the Raiders by double digits.
Oh, but Nick, that's when I was off, and Ray had the "it's not me, it's you" Eagles take. You know when you break up with a girl and you say, "Well, it's not you, it's me."
Yeah.
Like, it's not nothing you're doing. It's
Right.
me. You gave the take of, "I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm afraid of the Eagles."
And I was.
I don't disagree.
I
think Ray's was kind of right.
He was.
I said it. I'm terrified this team's going to do what they've done all season, turn it off for a half.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten that from a girl, Ray?
It's not you, it's me? No, I haven't gotten that one. It's usually me. It's most certainly always been me. It's never them. People can find fault with me left and right. I'm pretty confident in that one.
Let's go to the phones. And when I say a day oneer, I was at the cheerleading competition last weekend, and I had a couple people say, yo, day oneer right here, day one guy. Raider Jack from Delaware. It was not a day one guy on this show. Day one on WPN AM.
Ooh.
The 950 morning show. Raider Jack!
What's up, big boy?
I remember Raider Jack having these little kids. Now they're big grown men out there. Raider Jack, what's up, buddy?
Dude, little Raider Jack is 6'1" Raider Jack now.
I know, man. Congratulations.
Dude, and
your kids are beautiful.
Johnny, we go back so far. I remember like it was yesterday. You remember me trying to catch those footballs in the parking lot from Foley?
I do. Yeah, Glenn Foley
Diving out of the way.
was firing footballs in the parking lot to Raider Jack. That's right. And your Raiders still stink after 20 years.
It was taking the tree bark off of the tree behind me as I was diving out of the way.
Well, he was trying to hurt
Dude,
you.
it's so glad.
I know.
Yeah, I know he was. Big redheaded geek.
What's up, Raider Jack?
So, hey, listen, man, dude, thank God you're back, dude. It's so awesome. Like I said, I've been wanting to call in, just been really busy, haven't had the chance, and, backing now. Got some time on my hands, and
awesome.
wanted to congratulate you. Welcome back, brother. I know it's been a journey for you.
Yeah.
But listen, as far as the Eagles go, bro, you know I'm not an Eagles fan, but I'll give them the credit where credit's due, and I would consider it a disaster this year. There's no team in the NFL right now that you could say, oh, I'm worried about running into. I mean, Seattle and Sam Darnold, sorry, dude, I don't believe it's Sam Darnold. I mean, the Rams, they lost to the Panthers. I mean, who else have they lost to? There's no team head and shoulders above. If they could have got their act together in week 16, 17, figured out how to call some plays on that offense, they should have been there, dude. They really should have. And as an Eagle fan, I'd feel really disappointed because this was a season where you didn't have to be the best. I mean, even last year. I mean, look at the number one seeds from last year. Kansas City and Philadelphia, right? You were worried about them. You worried about Seattle or the Broncos? I mean, the Bears.
League, Jack, to your point, the league was wide open. The problem is the Eagles weren't good enough to take advantage of it. Last year, they would have plowed through the NFC. And they did last year. But that team this year would have plowed through the NFC and the Super Bowl. But not this year.
But again, you had the opportunity. You didn't have to be great. You didn't have to be head and shoulders above everyone else the way they were last year. You could have been that team. You could have been the team that the talent that they've got. I mean, look at the talent that seriously, think about the talent that they've got. Line hurt or not hurt.
So that's so Jack, Raider Jack, man, call again. Be a regular caller again. We're up against it. We'll talk about that because are they really as talented? Because one of the things every analyst says is like, oh, with all the talent on the team, are they really as talented as we think they are? Especially if AJ leaves.
And they're all starting to have that. Everyone that yelled at us that they're too talented, that they're going to figure it out, that you guys got to stop worrying, is starting to have that moment. Dominique Foxworth had it on Get Up this week where he's like, just kind of, you could see him in his head, just like, the thing I've been preaching all season long about this team's talent and ability, maybe we were all wrong about that.
All right, so we have that. Also coming up next, Peter Schrager talked about the offensive coordinator job. Phillies hot stove update coming up top of the hour, 11 o'clock. But Peter Schrager talked about the job as offensive coordinator in Philadelphia. Is it an attractive job? What exactly is it? Because it's a pressure cooker. That's coming up next. Middays with Marks, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, all you snorers out there, this could truly change your life because it changed my life. Dr. Eric Pastor, he's my dentist, and his team are the experts in the area in helping you not snore anymore. If you have sleep apnea and it goes untreated, those health risks are serious. Includes diabetes, high blood pressure, heart attacks, and even stroke. So seriously, if you have sleep apnea, you don't realize how bad that is for your health. Google it, and you'll find out. I was using a CPAP, and I hated it. Very uncomfortable. Dr. Pastor's my dentist, a Rocher dentist, and he said, have you thought about a sleep apnea device? Because that's what I do in addition to dentistry, right? So I thought about it, and I'm so glad I did. If I would have known it was this easy to eliminate my sleep apnea and eliminate my snoring, I would have done this a decade ago. My wife for years was kicking me, waking me up, roll over, because I'm such a heavy and loud snorer. No more. So if you're a heavy snorer, maybe your partner, your spouse is a heavy snorer, you don't have to have it. This is so easy. And Dr. Pastor will help you connect to the right doctors and will arrange a home sleep test for you. And how about this? Maybe I'm burying the lead here. This sleep apnea device is covered by most insurance plans. We're not talking about dental insurance. This includes Medicare. This is medical stuff here, all right? So if you're done with the CPAP, if you're done with snoring, do what I did, reclaim your sleep with Dr. Pastor. So the website's drpastor.com, DRPASTER.com, or call his office and speak to his sleep team right now. 610-67-SLEEP, 610-67-SLEEP, or drpastor.com.
The Fanatics, Andrew Ditch.
Goodbye to Ranger Suarez as he signs with the Red Sox. Also, the latest on hashtag Go Get Bo. There you go. And walk, Ray, walk.
Yeah, I was gonna say no walking shoes for me today, but I got a good amount of steps. I think I got my 10,000 in yesterday.
Why are you counting your steps?
Because I just like walking, so I like.
Where
walking
are you?
around
Where are you walking around your
Yesterday I
neighborhood
went
to
get
drink?
lunch. Yeah, well, yeah. Usually, if you could believe it, my Friday and Saturday number of steps are pretty good.
Yeah, but that cancels out the if you're going to drink alcohol and eat fatty food, then you might as well
no
just
one
stay
said
at home.
anything about eating fatty food.
You don't eat fatty food?
No, we're eating clean.
Oh well, okay. I mean, doesn't everybody eat like relatively? You don't have a burger every once in a while.
No, of course, I mean fatty food, but not tremendously. Yeah, I got my 10,000 in yesterday.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good for you.
how about that?
Peter Schrager on ESPN. So now the offensive coordinator search, as it was leaked or as reported yesterday, that the Eagles they're going out and they're giving an offensive coordinator
Swinging big.
Yep, swinging big, full autonomy. In other words, it was code for we're going to go after Stefanski, we're going to go after McDaniel, whoever doesn't get head coaching jobs, the top offensive coordinator is going to be here. And I was very glad to hear that they're not coming back with the boring Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts offense. Here's Schrager talking about the open offensive coordinator position for the Eagles.
I think the Eagles offensive coordinator hire is more fascinating than any of those 9 jobs.
Any of them. Yep.
That includes whoever's going to be the head coach for Lamar Jackson's second chapter of his career. That includes the mighty New York Giants and the mighty Pittsburgh Steelers. This job right here, the Eagles OC, is as pressure-filled, as microscopic an analysis, and as hot a seat as any in the NFL. And Kevin Patullo just learned just how difficult a job it can be in that media market.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong, especially if you suck, right? Kellen Moore, people weren't saying, oh, thank God Kellen's Moore here after 4 weeks. They were saying it after that when they were handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley, right? I don't know if Kellen Moore did a great job calling plays. He knows what he's doing more than Kevin Patullo does, that's for sure.
Right.
But I'm not putting Kellen Moore in the Hall of Fame because he went out and was handing it off to Saquon Barkley for 2,000 yards, but he deserves credit. He's a professional play caller. Shane Steichen, no one ever hated Shane Steichen.
No.
He was great.
Well, Shane Steichen also benefited from the lack of expectation. He came in after Sirianni stunk as a play caller, called plays. They ran the football. Things worked out for him. Then the next year, he was a genius. They figured out how to do things, back-to-back continuity, and ended up getting the Super Bowl. He never had the pressure of expectation here.
Right. And now because it's not worked, now it is with more pressure. Mm-hmm. Unless they hire somebody that and I don't know who that would be, but they hire somebody that fans are saying, hell yeah, like that's a good hire. I think McDaniel gets that reaction.
Yeah.
See, I don't know about Kingsbury, man.
No, he doesn't get that reaction from me, man. I'll lose my mind.
Me too. The bad. I mean, is he better than Patullo?
Right. Well, yeah, and here's the thing. You could trip over the bar right now.
Right.
With all due respect, you could trip over the bar. That's why I think they're also swinging big, because if this fan base gets a no-name that they're not sure about someone who is this guy called plays? Is this guy doing the right thing? To me, then you end up in a spot where we're all upset anyways because, this guy hasn't called plays, this guy doesn't have the right amount of experience, and then we're all upset. So that's why they kind of have to swing big.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that I was most happy about was that we didn't get because even I was saying it on the air. I was like, well, McDaniel doesn't make sense. He's going to come in and want to run his offense, and they're going to be like, no, you have to run our offense that we run, which is what it is. Mm-hmm. Want to hand the ball off. You don't want to throw the ball more than 20 times. There's no motion. But, clearly the Eagles are putting the pressure on for the offense to evolve, for the quarterback to evolve. If they're going to bring in McDaniel, and by the way, isn't the story out there that Jeff Stoutland Community College now, that he doesn't like a lot of motion in the offense? And when Kingsbury interviewed for the job before, he wanted to bring his own guy in because Stoutland was very set in his ways.
Right.
And they were like, no.
Nope.
So is Stoutland, if he doesn't want motion in their offense, then that eliminates a lot.
McDaniel doesn't seem like a very logical fit there, does he?
It eliminates almost any coach that you want to hire. The reason why you bring these guys in is because they're innovative.
Right.
And if Jalen Hurts needs to be coached and he needs to evolve.
Right.
If you're just going to have him being like, don't make a mistake, Jalen. Hand the ball off, Jalen. Don't make those throws. Just check it down. Roll the right, throw it away. Like, at some point, we got to learn whether this quarterback can be a real quarterback in the NFL or not. And I want him to be, and I think he can be. But he needs the coaching and the offense to do it. I mean, honestly, and I think I may have felt differently last week. If you want him to evolve as a passer, don't you have to give him a coach that knows what they're doing? Who on their staff last year was going to help him evolve? Nick Sirianni and Patullo? The Eagles don't even consider Nick Sirianni an offensive coach anymore.
Right. So it was what? Up to Loeffler, however we pronounce his name. Good old Scotty, the quarterback's coach.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Bowling Green.
Yeah, that's about it. That's who it was up to coach him up. That's what it felt like. I mean, also, and this is something about the Patullo sticking around thing that's so interesting to me. He's been the pass game coordinator for how long? And how much conversation we had about the pass game and like, there's just no rhythm to it.
I hate to say that when they hired him, my first reaction was, how come this guy's never even been considered for an offensive coordinator anywhere else?
Yeah.
You look at the current coordinator like candidates that are out there. Thomas Brown's the offensive pass game coordinator. Dave Ragone's the Rams quarterbacks coach. Nate Shalil-Haas is the Rams passing game coach. You get all these young guys that it's like the next logical step is you go from a positional coach or a quarterbacks coach or a passing game coordinator to where now you're the offensive coordinator. And Patullo was never considered outside the organization for that stuff. I mean, you can see why.
And that's Patullo. It's not that he doesn't know football, but to be a coordinator and to be a play caller at this level, it takes a certain level of gut that he just clearly didn't have throughout this entire season. And I don't know where you get that in interview process, how you know that about a candidate before you bring him in, but it seemed like the league knew that about him.
There's not many shows that have more football guys on it on a regular basis. Like John and Ray, when you think getting your uniform dirty, getting your knuckles in the dirt.
Tough guys.
Hut. That's us. We know ball.
Trenches guys, for sure. Yeah. You played left guard, it was? I was a nose tackle.
Defense.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're both defensive line.
I can see Ray coming off the edge at some point, right?
He could be an edge rusher. I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Maybe a free safety. Not a strong safety, a free safety.
Yeah, well, I was never described as strong in just about anything.
Correct. Well, you're strong on the SAT and things like that.
Yeah, because that mattered a lot to people.
That life is past him now. That's why he's getting all the steps in at this point.
I was people will laugh or email me and say there's not a position. Defensive guard is actually a position when you have a 9-man line. And that's what I played in middle school.
Oh, there you go.
I was the defensive guard. And people will still tell me there's no such position. Google it. There is. Trust me.
Google me?
610-632-0975. I don't even know what is it. Google me.
Google me.
I was going to say,
610-632-0975. All right. We got a bunch of people that want to talk about the Eagles, which we will do after. We got to do a Phillies hot stove segment.
Stove's burning.
Man, Ranger Suarez, I'm going to miss you, pal. We'll say goodbye to Ranger. And there's a couple of things going on with Bo Bichette and surrounding Bo Bichette. The Phillies are absolutely the favorite right now. We'll discuss that coming up next. Middays with Marks, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Well, the Phillies outbid everybody for Bo. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies continue to be rumored to be the favorites for Bo Bichette, and ESPN's Jeff Passan echoes as to why the Phillies are still the favorite, and the expectation is they will be the highest bidder.
I think the expectation is that the Phillies at the end of the day are going to be the highest bidders. They have reason to go after him, and they have a need, not just for like the right-handed complement to the Schwarber and the Harper, but also just to rejigger that clubhouse.
The New York Giants are reportedly filling their head coaching vacancy. Adam Schefter reported that Giants and former Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh are working to finalize an agreement for him to become the next head coach in New York. Reports suggest that it'll be a 5-year deal worth close to $100 million. The 76ers were blown out by the Cleveland Cavaliers last night by a final score of 133-107. They will be back in action tomorrow night against the Cavs once again. Flyers fell to the Buffalo Sabres last night as well, 5-2. This update is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org. I'm Nick Earnshaw, on your home for the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Series.
It was. In the mush mind that I have, I saw the clip circulating yesterday. Phillies win Game 5 with Ranger on the mound. I totally didn't remember that. I knew he had pitched in the postseason out of the bullpen, but I forgot because I have, like applesauce for brains. But it just goes to show you how important he was in this run. Ranger Suarez, 5 years, $150 million signed by the Boston Red Sox yesterday, and I couldn't have been happier for the fella.
Oh, I'm happy for him. And hearing Mr. Ranger there, that was like when that came over the speakers, because I was there at Citizens Bank Park that day. It was like, from where I was, I couldn't see the bullpen. I was up in right field. I couldn't see the bullpen. I heard his intro song coming in, and I was like, oh, my God, they're about to win the pennant. Like, my mind immediately was at ease. He was just such a big game pitcher for you. He really was.
He's got major stones.
Even when he was at his physical worst at the end of 2024 against the Mets, he walked forward in that playoff game, still got out of 4 1/3 scoreless, and obviously put the bullpen in a bit of a tough spot when he left the game. But he was such a gamer. And, you got to be thrilled for him to make the money. I'm more thrilled that he's not in the National League. This was kind of one of my best-case scenarios. I'm pretty sure a couple months ago when we were talking about this, I was like, go let him sign with Boston. Let him go to Boston. Let the Orioles sign him for big money. Get him away from me. And I'm very happy about this. So good for him. Good on him. He's not going to be back at CBP this summer. It'll be the following summer when the Red Sox come to town, I think.
Don't they play each team home and away?
I thought they were.
Do they not play each team home and away, Nick?
Red Sox. I don't think they're here this year, but I could double check.
I think they're in Boston only.
They're not there.
Yeah, they're in Boston middle of May because I've already thought about it.
Oh, it still won't even be warm in middle May.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking about going. I was talking to you earlier today about going up for their home opener series against ironically, the Padres.
Oh, look at that.
His first home series will be against the Padres.
How far away does that feel like? That's the Bryce Harper home run game.
Yep.
They elected to pitch to him. Suarez pitched to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he hits the home run, and they score 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th. And Ranger comes in. Did Ranger start the? No, it was Robertson that started the inning, and Ranger came in because, like you said, Ranger came out of the bullpen. All right, so Suarez or Ranger comes in, and that's where there was the bunt.
Yeah, that would ridiculous. Looking back on it, all we talked this year about the Stott bunt that where Castellanos gets thrown at third. I forgot that Grisham just laid. Grisham was going terribly at that point.
He was trying to bunt for a hit, but he ends up.
You don't bunt to Ranger Suarez. The guy's a Gold Glover.
Ends up being you didn't get it past him, and it was a good play. Yeah, he almost beat it out, but it's a good play by Ranger.
Robertson. Good memory by you on that.
So it's good. So it's 2 outs, and then that's the second out. But runners are now on second and third. So the winning run is on second base.
And Austin Nola up to bat.
Fortunately, that Austin Nola was at bat. Yes.
Didn't he retire? Did Austin Nola retire?
I wish his brother would retire at this point.
That's why he could retire. The family's got enough money coming in from one side of the country.
Google that there, Nick Earnshaw, and see if he retired. But and the rest is history. And then we have the image that we'll never forget of him dancing.
Yep.
Probably hammered drunk, but dancing on his own in the clubhouse in his own little world.
Budweiser in hand.
Oh, my God, it was so much fun.
That clip, you mentioned it, how long it feels ago. If you go back and watch, obviously Castellanos catches the final out. Segura's going out to him. You see Castellanos catch it. Segura's out there with him.
Segura, yeah.
Those 2 guys won't be on the roster come next season. Castellanos will be gone. I saw a clip circuit. The Phillies will have to eat a minimum of $17 to $20 million on Castellanos' contract this year. I hate to break it to you, $20 million is all of the contract. If it's a minimum of 20, that's all of it.
Everybody that put that out there, or whoever said, was it Heyman that said it, or somebody said it? Yeah, here's my response. Duh.
No kidding.
We've been saying that since the season ended. No one's giving you $5 million to trade for Castellanos.
But Castellanos and Segura, that's the first image, and then it cuts back to Suarez, and Suarez and Real Muto embrace. Bohm comes racing in. And Alvarado is the first one to meet them that wasn't on the field at that time. Oh, if I told you in May when he got busted for it, that
he's the only one left.
He would be the last one left of that group come next season. Would you believe of those 6 players that Alvarado would be the only one on the roster coming into this season? It's amazing. And it has time's flown since then, and they haven't gotten anywhere closer.
Oh, wow. Austin Nola did retire, and now he's the Mariners bullpen coach.
Congratulations. Yeah, nobody loves a good bullpen coach like a backup catcher in Major League Baseball.
Is he old? Or did he just say, you know what, was he not in the majors anymore? And he said didn't feel like, I respect that. You say, you know what? I don't want to ride buses in AAA. I can make as much money being a coach.
He was with the Rockies this year. He realized
He's 36 years of age.
Okay, all right.
Rockies.
For some reason, I thought he was younger than Aaron, which he's not. All right, so anyway, thank God it's not the Mets.
Yeah, that's pretty much the headline for me. I got a couple texts. I can't believe it. I'm like, you can't believe it?
So happy.
Like, what do you mean you can't believe he's gone? He was always going.
And I will root for him up there. And
for sure.
He is a good fit for the city because a lot like us, we're demanding and we pay attention. And if you're soft, you're going to have problems up there. And a lot like when Shane Victorino went to the Red Sox, I was rooting for him. Yep. Shane is the type of guy that can thrive up there. He won a World Series and had big hits.
Another Grand Slam.
Yep. Yeah, he sure did. He did have that Grand Slam. So Victorino went up there. He's beloved in Boston. He was only up there for a little bit. Yep. Ranger will do great in Boston as long as he can stay healthy.
Well, that's the thing. And
a lot of money, a lot of years.
That's where it comes back to. Like 5 years, $130 million for a guy with a questionable back that's going into 30 years old and throws in the high 80s. If his name wasn't Ranger Suarez and I didn't have all those good emotions about him with what he did here in Philadelphia, there would have been a total stay away from me come this offseason.
I was listening to Reaction yesterday in the afternoon on the Sports Hub, our sister station, and then this morning. They're very happy with it. And the afternoon show up there isn't very happy about anything.
Oh, good.
The reaction was, Rangers, they were shocked. Came out of nowhere. Like, Ranger Suarez, he's a stud.
He is. He is a stud.
He is a stud.
He's just one of those.
He's also the number 3 starter that's making $30 million a year, and his velocity was 90 miles an hour this year, and it's not going to get any bigger. But he doesn't need velocity to pitch.
No.
Dude knows how to pitch.
No, he's not a thrower. He's actually a pitcher. We don't have a lot of those these days.
Damn right. Damn right. All right, so that's goodbye to Ranger. We love you, man. We'll be following you from down here. But we have a lot of things going on with our hot stove update, and we're going to give it to Ray to kind of lead that. Ray, what do we got?
All right, let's take a start with what matters here, and that's Bo Bichette and what Jeff Passan is expecting, because we've said this all along. He wants the money. Show him the money. Who will be the highest bidder for this man? Jeff Passan believes it's the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, but, teams are only in the lead insofar as they have the most money on the table. And I think the expectation is that the Phillies, at the end of the day, are going to be the highest bidders. They have reason to go after him, and they have a need, not just for like the right-handed complement to the Schwarber and the Harper, but also just to rejigger that clubhouse a little. Like, teams get stale sometimes. And Tim, if you look at what the Phillies have done going from the World Series to the NLCS to the Division Series and getting bounced in consecutive years, that incarnation of them couldn't get over the hump. And there are a lot worse ways to mix it up than by bringing in Bo Bichette, a guy who, whatever he plays, whether it's second base, third base, or even shortstop, he's going to hit, and he's going to be a productive bat.
Well, I mean, right with everything he's saying, but I guess the scary thing for me is that the general manager and the coach thought it was okay not to bring in Bo Bichette, and we will be fine. Let's re-sign JT Realmuto. They almost have been, by their own luck and JT's stupidity, that the team's actually going to be better next year.
There you go. JT has opened this up. If JT's not a member of the Phillies next year and the Phillies win a World Series, I still want him to get a ring. He's done this for us.
He's done all the work.
Yes. JT did exactly what and Ranger, too. Ray, that was the one thing about the Ranger signing yesterday. Red Sox signed Ranger Suarez. They just ponied up $130 million, won a 5-year contract for a pitcher. You think they're going to pony up money for Bo Bichette now? No way.
No,
Ranger,
they're out.
Thank you. I appreciate you. That's a parting gift by Ranger Suarez. So if they're going to be the highest bidder, what's stopping this at this point? I mean, obviously they have to work through contract details. They got to figure all that out, but I mean,
who's the team that's given a bigger contract for Bo Bichette? Because as you're going to mention here, there's another player that could eliminate another high bidder for Bo Bichette.
So I woke up this morning and rolled over, and I open up the phone and I see the early morning Heyman tweet. Now Heyman's tweet wasn't as early as I had texted Jeremy Fowler, but it was pretty close to just about as early in the morning as when I texted Jeremy Fowler. It was one of those rollovers. So wow, Heyman's up early today, breaking some news. He believes today's Kyle Tucker Day, and that Tucker's going to sign today. Passan was on yesterday with Sportsnet and gave an update on what he believes the Tucker free agency looks like right now. They're running parallel right now, Bichette and Tucker.
The Toronto Blue Jays have really been the only team that has shown the willingness to go as deep as 10 years, potentially. Now, the New York Mets have entered the fray,
Right.
and they're coming in at $50 million a year, and that is a lot of money for anyone to turn down on an annual basis. And, now that the Mets are in at that level, the Dodgers are going to come in too, and the market might be almost working backward at this point, where it started off high. That was the expectation. That was the hope. Didn't materialize quite like he had liked. And now he's going to go back down, get that AAV juiced up, get guys interested.
Right.
And then suddenly all bets are off.
Kyle Tucker Day.
Yeah.
Blue Jays need something. They're coming off a World Series that they lost. And if it takes 10 years to get Kyle Tucker, damn it, it's going to take 10 years to get Kyle Tucker.
All right, that takes the Blue Jays out of the Bichette running. Good. Like that.
Who else is in?
Do the Mets pivot?
I don't think so, because if they were interested, here's why I don't think they do. They have this new president of baseball ops guy. Doesn't seem like a guy that wants to give a poor fielding infielder a 10-year contract or an 8-year contract.
No, we specialize in that here. That's our thing.
Kyle Tucker for 4 years at $50 million might have been something they would do. Even though if you look at the numbers, he's a good player. He's not Juan Soto.
No.
Right? I'm not petrified if the Mets were to sign Kyle Tucker.
Nope.
But it seems like the favor in the clubhouse right now is that he's going to the Blue Jays today. If that's the case, who else is signed to Bo Bichette?
So if Uncle Stevie doesn't wake up there in New York, of course you go out to the West Coast. You just always fear whatever the Dodgers could do in opening up a checkbook forever.
Doesn't feel like it.
Doesn't feel like it. Right now it feels like Bichette's a Philly. Like that's the honest feeling. At this point, I'm not the last one standing on the side of I'm not expecting it, because Connor Thomas still doesn't believe it's happening. But I'm probably the second to last person at this station to walk over that line of like, oh man, I guess now my expectation is it's going to happen. Because now I'm in my head, I'm working through if you sign Bichette and JT realizes what reality is.
Yeah, he's not coming back. They're not going to have an extra 10. You think he's going to come back for $5 million?
Well, that's the thing.
And he's going to have bigger offers than that. He's not going to have no offers out there. But the Phillies would have to then move. They would have to move other salaries. I don't know how they do that. And JT says that he'll sign elsewhere before he signs back here for a 1-year, $8 million contract.
So now where does Bohm go?
It's traded to the Red Sox.
Red Sox.
Dave Dombrowski has teams that are interested in Bohm. At $10 million a year, he's a good player. I know I kind of poop on him a lot because I want him out of here. He's a good player. If you need a third baseman that's above average, he's an above average player.
Yeah.
Not power. He's not power, but he's a good player.
He'll hit 280 for you.
75, 80 RBIs.
Yeah, driving 80 runs. If you have him in your 6 hole, you feel great. If you have him in the 4 hole,
Yeah, exactly.
You are where you are. So, I don't know. Tucker's signing today, we're going to get the immediate pivot plans of who didn't get Tucker. And as long as that doesn't change the Bichette plans, we should feel very good. But this feels like the shoe that's going to drop first, and it's always there's always a panic team.
Yeah, I don't know if there is, though. But, I went through this with Bryce Harper. When it was Bryce Harper going to sign, it was like, he loves us. He loves us not. He loves us. He loves us not. San Francisco was the favorite one day, and then this team was the favorite the next
named
day.
Wrigley.
And he doesn't want to come to the Phillies. He's using them. And I'm on the air being like, you son of a bitch, Bryce, stop using us. And then he signs with the Phillies, right? And then we love him because no trade clause and everything else and no opt-outs. But there's been none of that feeling with Bichette. Like every single wire that you're looking to connect makes sense. There isn't an obvious team that's interested in him.
Right.
The Blue Jays are going to get somebody else. The Red Sox weren't interested in him after Bregman. Then they signed Suarez. They don't have the money for it. There's no reason to believe if the Phillies are really interested and they're willing to make it happen, Bo Bichette is going to be a Philadelphia Philly.
Yeah, and I'm going to be walking to work. That's kind of the way this one crumples, right?
How about that?
Nick Earnshaw, your level of confidence Bo Bichette's a Philadelphia Philly. # go get Bo.
I am at about 75% at this point with Bo Bichette, because the report that came out the other day with the Phillies, they offered him 3 years to JT Realmuto. I thought that was fascinating, and he didn't take it. I think they're really going to pivot off JT and go get Bo Bichette and find a way. Trade Bohm, trade Stott, whoever you got to trade to get him on the roster. The one that's hindering him, the contract that's hindering him is Castellanos. That is the contract that is holding this thing up because he eats so much money this year and no team wants him. So you can't get rid of that contract. That's what's hurting you so much, in my opinion, if you look at the macro of it.
But they also know it's a sunk cost. They're just assuming, they're hoping somebody gives them $1 million of the salary, which is unlikely to happen. Yeah, like they've already figured that out. They're going to have to eat that salary. Your right fielder is going to cost you $30 million this year with Garcia. I mean, he's a 75%, Ray. I'm going to go 90.
Wow.
90%. That's the confidence that this is getting done. You mentioned JT. Zalecki he didn't say it, but I think it was Zalecki that wrote it. But somebody had written that the Phillies and JT had spoken about different multi-year contracts. Do you remember this?
I remember this.
It wasn't just they offered 2 years and $30 million. It was they discussed various multi-year contracts. And I remember thinking, what does that mean? Because, like, are they talking about 3? Like, there's no way they offer him 3 years. So Heyman comes out and said that if this team offered him 3 years and JT Realmuto said no, man, he has really misplayed this hand.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he definitely has anyway.
Yep. He has entirely misplayed his hand.
But you know what? Thank God. Because we would have never said we would have been happy because we like JT. This team would have been any better.
They had 3 years. I would have done the whole, the staff loves him.
So what is it, 3 years, 36, or 2 years and 34, something like that?
Yeah.
More money if it's the 2 year, less money if it's the 3. And he wants $100 million. Like, he's never been realistic about his worth.
No.
And it's a
amazing.
shame.
It's kind of cool, though. Like, it's holding my team hostage, so it sucks. But it's like, I wish I went through life with that irrational self-worth. Like, I wish I went through life with I am worth this amount of money. Don't tell me anything different. That's what I'm worth.
Right, he still thinks it's signed JT offseason.
Right, that's what I mean.
From a few years ago. That's where he's like, everyone's like, no, this is not the same offseason. This is a few years, buddy. You're in your mid-30s and had knee surgery. Like, you're not worth the same player.
He is unrealistic. And he, at this point, like, the offer's obviously off the table. He couldn't call the Phillies today and say, hey, on second thought, let's do that 3-year contract. They probably don't answer the phone.
No, he gets voicemail, or he gets Dombrowski's like, hey, Preston, you take line 2 right now. You mind just telling JT we'll get back to him in a few business days? Like, somebody
like
take that call for me.
All right. By the way, I'm being told the Sirianni and Howie press conference has been moved to 1:30.
1:30.
So we have to figure out how we're going to do that
Yes,
during
we
the
will.
break.
Good thing we got a long break.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna do that.
Luckily, Bill's already here, so we'll be able to game plan with him.
So I can just leave at 1:30 essentially.
That's what I thought was that, pretty much.
I'm gonna
I got
get
an easy first day.
Yeah, congrats to you.
Good job. Well, at least you think so until you're moving commercials around.
Oh, yeah.
Good point.
All right. Actually, you know what? Let's get to Dave. I know we have some Eagles calls here. We're gonna do that next second. Dave in Deptford. Dave, what do you got on the Phillies, man?
Yeah, I don't see what. First of all, how you guys doing?
What's up?
I don't see all this commotion, this big thing about Bo Bichette. I mean, I know you gotta talk about something. You know what I mean? But losing Ranger Suarez, I mean, that's a terrible move. I mean, Bichette's probably going to make $30 million. You could have had Suarez for 25. So now the back end of the rotation, I got to look at a questionable Wheeler. I got to look at a terrible Taiwan Walker. You telling me Nola? You're going to count on Nola with a 6.0 ERA?
No, Dave. I had said earlier, if Bichette doesn't end up working out, I would go Ranger Suarez, because if you look at the rotation, like you said, Chris Sanchez is coming off a career year in innings. He's great, but he also pitched more innings than he ever has before. You don't know a lot about Wheeler. You know Taiwan Walker is pitching in the World Baseball Classic.
That he is.
That's not good. Andrew Painter, their top prospect, sucked last year at AAA. And you have Aaron Nola. And thank you, Dave. You have Aaron Nola, who, by the way, I received threats over DMs. And this is before he really sucked last year.
Uh-huh.
I called him the Joe Blanton of the staff. And it was really because he was clearly the 4th starter or the 5th starter and not among the top starters on the team. And really, that's what he was at this point in his career. You're not a Phillies fan. I had a couple of like Phillies bloggers out there that were rolling their eyes like, look at that take or whatever. And it's like, no, not look at that take. This guy's velocity's gone down every year. They just paid him like his production's going to go up. It's not. And he sucked. So that's what I have to do. Now I have to hope that Aaron Nola can be what? Realistically, what can Aaron Nola be this year?
Mid-threes.
Is that realistic, though? Or is that optimistic?
I mean,
that's optimistic.
He talked about the San Francisco Giants being every other year team. If you look at the Aaron Nola in the 2020s, it's been mid-fours, mid-threes, mid-fours, mid-threes, 6.
Okay,
Probably
mid-fours?
No, I would imagine mid to high threes. Like
Nola's going to stick to the bit, is what you're saying.
3.75 ERA.
I don't think Nola can stick to the bit. I'm not telling you he's going to be as bad as last year. I'm not. But if you think he's having a how is he having a mid-3 ERAs? His stuff doesn't play to that anymore.
Taijuan Walker had a 7 ERA in 2024 and came back. It was a 4.
In how many innings?
In 123.
Okay. Some of them out of the bullpen. Some as a starter.
High leverage Taijuan was one of the funniest things they tried last year. We were too into Eagles season. Maybe we'll bank this show sheet. Next year, I want to have, at the end of a Phillies season, the moments we will never remember but shouldn't forget segment. Because Taijuan Walker, for 3 weeks, people trying to convince me, he's the new weapon out of the bullpen.
Right.
Was easily one of the dumbest arguments that we've ever gone through as a fan base.
Yeah, it was.
He was never going to play as a high leverage guy.
It was fun, though, when we did that.
Yeah.
610-632-0975. Your phone calls. We have the Eagles lines back up there. We'll get to you. Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk at 1 o'clock. We'll talk about Sirianni. We'll talk about the offensive coordinator position that's open and what he thinks about Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, going forward. Mike Florio, 1 o'clock. Howie and Doug. Howie and Nick coming up at 1:30. I wish it was Howie and Doug. That's coming up at 1:30. We'll count for you live. That's next. Middays with Marks, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Who will outbid the Phillies for Bo Bichette? I'm Nick Earnshaw with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies continue to be rumored the favorites for Bo Bichette, and ESPN's Jeff Passan echoed as to why the Phillies are still a favorite, and the expectation is they will be the highest bidder. The New York Giants are reportedly filling their head coach opening overnight. Adam Schefter reported that the Giants and former Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh are working to finalize an agreement for him to become the next head coach up in New York. Reports suggest that it will be a 5-year deal worth close to $100 million. Schefter also gave his thoughts on the Eagles' offensive coordinator situation yesterday on Kincade and Salciunas.
I think I would look at all the guys who are on the interview circuit now. Most any of them with an offensive background that don't get a head coaching job, you immediately could put into the bucket of candidates. That would be, I would think, under consideration.
The 76ers, they were blown out by the Cleveland Cavaliers last night by a final score of 133-107. They will be back in action tomorrow night against the Cavs once again. The Flyers, they fell to the Buffalo Sabres last night as well, 5-2. This update was brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim hotline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. I'm Nick Earnshaw on your home for the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Race 130. Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni will carry it for you live.
What a great day.
Really is.
Yeah.
Mike Florio, 1 p.m. Pro Football Talk. We'll talk about everything with the Eagles. So there you go. All right. A lot of people have been holding the talk about the Eagles. Starting with Christian calling from Winona. Christian, go ahead. Good morning.
Johnny Marks, how we doing?
Hey, Christian. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm just listening to you guys, and I'm just baffled by this whole era of Eagles that we're having here. It's like becoming the most successful era in Eagles history, yet we have a coach that people love and hate at the same time. But I think mostly hate. I don't know. I'm not sure. But.
Well, you like. All right, so Christian, I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of when you bring that up. It's a great comment because when they're winning, it's almost like you have to give them credit because they're winning. But the minute they lose, and for me, it's the fraternity brother behavior of screaming at fans, leaving the you know what I mean? Like I just hate it. I hate it. I hate how he comes off. He never stops screaming and yelling like a big baby at the officials and everything else. But you can't argue with results. And now, because they lose, now you can argue with results because they lost.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why I feel like it's just everywhere I look, it's like, the coach and then the quarterback. People like him, people hate him. It's
weird.
But yet they win, and you can't argue with all that. But when you look at the McNabb era, it's like the down years were because of injuries, But with this, it's like it's the play calling, it's the players not performing, it's not injuries.
It was also lack of talent with the McNabb teams because they didn't have a wide receiver. The minute they get a wide receiver, they went right to the Super Bowl, right? So it was also not having the right personnel. But you're right, it's weird because like the talent is perceived. We didn't actually get into that. We teased it. The talent is perceived, certainly have it on both sides of the ball. But you know what, this year, and I think this is kind of where I am with Jalen Hurts right now, Christian, is that he's never actually had real coaching. Kellen Moore came in and said, all right, we're just going to run the ball because that's what this team's built to do, and they won the Super Bowl. But the lack of evolution as Jalen Hurts is a passing quarterback, who's the coach that was going to do that? That's what he needs right now. This Eagles offense needs to evolve. It doesn't just need to do the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. And my last point is what do we want Hurts to be? Like, do we want him to keep running? Do we want him to turn into like a pocket passer? Like, because like when I was comparing like McNabb and Hurts, I always do that because I just feel like they're kind of similar, but like because McNabb ran early in his career and then he turned into a pocket passer. Like Hurts needs to spread the ball around more. Like back in the day, you would see like Billy McMullen catching a touchdown. You know what I mean? But like when you look at today, it's like Jahan Dotson is like totally invisible out there.
Wow. I think there's a reason with that. I appreciate it, Christian. Yeah, Dotson is what he is. I don't think he's very good. Dallas Goedert was great this year, Ray.
Yeah.
The quarterback. So he brought up Donovan McNabb, and it's something we've talked about a bunch here on the show. The evolution of the athletic quarterback before calling Donovan a running quarterback was actually a swipe because that's code for, well, you can't throw the ball well enough. You're a black quarterback that just runs, right? Like because that went on for decades with African-American quarterbacks. Jalen doesn't like he will run if he needs to run. Donovan, he was also getting injured too, but Donovan, a lot of people believed, including me, that he felt that being called a running back was a swipe and he didn't want to be that. And Donovan turned into a pretty good thrower. Jalen, I don't think worries about any of that. When he says any means necessary, I believe him when he says that. But he was getting injured every year running the ball as much as he was.
Yeah.
But the evolution of the quarterback throwing the ball hasn't happened like I was hoping it would. And after the Super Bowl, you're like, wow, like he's really evolved as a passer. Right back down this year.
And it comes back to what are they called? Like, what are we watching in an offense? And like the caller points out there, and I think you pointed out there with the caller, was talking about when Andy Reid had a down years due to injuries. Well, with Andy Reid, you did kind of have the net of, I feel like this guy's got a philosophy offensively, and this guy's got something that schematically is going to work and lift you. Like, they were able to go to the postseason with Jeff Garcia at what age? Like, like that's part of the issue here, where Jeremy Fowler said he's not scheme deficient when he was talking about Sirianni yesterday to us. And I don't think he's scheme deficient. I just don't necessarily believe that schematically he's evolved and that this is something that...
No evolution.
Yeah, that year to year you could continue to succeed with the way he wants to go offensively. And also, like, ideologically for this team, like, they continue to go conservative in second halves this year. Like, that was a massive issue for this team this year. We went 2 second halves, not one, 2 of them. But they didn't complete a pass. It's like we don't want to play lose. And it's not just blame on the coaching staff. There's blame on the quarterback, too. There's blame across the board because I can't imagine that entire half there was not one guy open to be hit with a pass.
I mean, at some point, you have to challenge the quarterback to evolve. And he's shown that he can.
Right.
We've seen that. But if you just have Dumb and Dumber that's your offensive coordinator and head coach when it comes to offense, how can you evolve?
Right.
That's not him.
And hey, Jalen, game plan going out there is protect the football.
Right.
And
you said it.
You know how many interceptions Brock Purdy threw in that playoff game they lost? 2 of them. I'm sorry. Did they win the turnover battle?
No.
They won turnover battle.
They didn't make any plays.
Yeah. Oh, well, we didn't win the explosive play game. Why? Why didn't you win that? Because you have not been able to generate explosives all year long as an offense.
Here's I remember with Michael Vick, and it was like this with Randall as well. The talent was so tantalizing that when they would pull it down and run for it, Mike Vick knows that, well, yeah, I could throw this. I could throw a first down here. I could also run for 15 yards here and easily get the first down. No one's going to be able to catch me. Randall was the same way. And it's tough to coach that out of guys. When Mike Vick came to Philly, Andy actually gave him the coaching he needed to get away with some of that.
Right.
But there were games where, like the Miracle at the Meadowlands 3, Mike just was playing schoolyard ball and he was throwing and running everywhere. It was unbelievable. Jalen's not that type of guy. But you got to give him some kind of structure and some kind of offense rather than just this boring, bland, run the ball. You can't come out next year and just try to do an RPO.
Yeah.
It's got to get a little bit more complex. It's got to get up with the times of what they do in the NFL.
And it goes back to, all right, we have 1st and 10. We've got to lead in the second half. We're going to run the football right up the middle here. And Sulo said it. One of the things that were most damning of one of those last pressers was, yeah, we just run the ball to run it sometimes. All right, 2nd and 9. Well, now this defense is going to sit back in his zone and try and just take away anything for Jalen, and Jalen's going to have to make a tight throw, and he doesn't want to do that because, hey, I don't want to turn the football over here. So, all right, now it's 3rd and 9. Cowards draw, or are we going to just throw the football away on 3rd and 9? And now you go 3 and out, and you put this defense back on the field. Like, that's a script that, as you hear me describe that out, everyone listening had a different game and a different drive in mind when they heard it because you saw it enough this season. And it's part coaching, and it's part of, hey, that coach needs to be getting into Jalen's head of, we need that first down. Not that we don't need to turn the football over. It's a whole ideology that they have to kind of rewrite inside of there. And that's why autonomy for the offensive coordinator is important because it's not just about schematically what you're doing. It's about this was.
No, you're right. They need to be retaught. Everybody needs to be reprogrammed.
And I don't want to say it's the perfect way for a season to end for evolution because I don't like the way the season ended. I'm not saying that was this loss actually a good thing for the Eagles.
Sometimes you need that.
Right. They needed to fall flat on their face here for this. If they got to the NFC Championship game, Petulo, they probably find a way.
They probably find a way to keep his job.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
But maybe they get to the Super Bowl.
But to your point, it's not out of the question that's where Sirianni can sell that to Howie and Jeffrey Lurie.
Look, we won. You guys, look at what you've invested in this offense. A second year continuity. We'll figure it out. God, I sounded like the guy.
Mike McDaniel is the offensive coordinator? What would that be? That'd be awesome, actually.
We would play his presser every week. We would have to.
Okay, but that's also a problem. Right? Like that's I don't want to be doing bits off of the offensive coordinator. I mean, I want to be doing bits off the offensive coordinator. If I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I don't know if I want to do bits off the offensive coordinator. All right, Jared, if you want to hang on, we'll get you on the other side. 610-632-0975. John Harbaugh to the Giants. Our thoughts on that good move for the G-men. Also, we'll dive into the coaching searches around the NFL. That's coming up. Middays with Marks, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincade and Salciunas.
In honor of him, this just matches my shoes and my pants.
It's a nice item.
It is.
Very nice item.
My wife made it. Yeah. But she doesn't need any more business. She's already too busy as it is. So
Big fan of the Rofo.
Yeah, I should have gotten you one for Christmas. You would wear this with pride. I went to McGurk's with a bunch of other dads wearing the Rofo shirt, and we looked like the biggest losers of all time.
Nah, see, you got to rebrand that.
You like it?
I like it.
All right.
It's a couple of guys that are there to have a good time. You know, when the Rofo crew rolls in together, they all got the matching shirts. It's like, that's a group that likes to have a good time.
Oh,
They look like a team.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we were rolling thick with dad jokes and everything, man. Complaining about the wives, telling dad jokes. It was a good night.
See, that's a great group. That's a group you want to be around. It's like in the city when you see a group of like the Heyday shirts all walk in together. It's like, that's a group that's having a good time tonight.
We could almost have like a motorcycle club, but should do the electric scooter.
No.
Or maybe the electric bike.
I'm out. You know me. I'm out on the electric scooter.
What about the electric bike? I
No.
see them in my neighborhood.
He's got to get his steps in.
Back when I was young, we worked for the movement we got. These electric bikes, you should have to pedal. All right?
You can pedal.
Yeah, I know, but then
It's
you're banking
both.
up energy. No. You
They
have to be
actually
able to-
because I like the bike, I just don't like the bike. But I like being out and seeing everything. It's actually the best idea ever. I got to get one. All right. John Harbaugh hired by the New York Giants. It happened at 12 o'clock last night. I had a long night with another sick child, and after I was done cleaning up throw up off the carpet, I looked, and it's like, John Harbaugh to the Giants. Your thoughts, Ray?
I was going to complain to you that I couldn't sleep. Then you explained your night last night. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should keep quiet on this one. Yeah, I was up when it happened. And my immediate reaction was, good for them. You know, I haven't talked to my mom yet about Giants fans, so I'm sure she's thrilled. I know my cousin texted me immediately, let's go. You know, this is great. Hey, good for them. Todd Monken was the guy that we had talked about as an offensive coordinator here. It looks like he's following him
Makes sense.
to New York. So if I wanted him in Philly, I'm going to say that's good for New York to get him with a young quarterback. And if Scatterbo ends up healthy again.
It's a double good move. We were talking about Monken in Philly. If they're talking about the big swing, that's not Monken.
Right.
That's McDaniel, Stefanski, one of those guys.
Yeah.
Innovative offense. Monken is just one of these good offensive coordinators that takes the talent and knows what to do with it.
And it gives you a nice floor with Harbaugh, who's not an offensive coach. Like, it gives them a solid floor base of offensive scheme that you believe, okay, they can get something going. It'll be interesting to see. To me, it's like good hire, good to set the culture there, someone that's won in an organization that hasn't in quite a while. It's all about what the dynamic between him and Joe Shane is going forward.
Well, Joe Shane will get whacked.
Right.
If he doesn't fall in line. And I would assume Shane's there for a year and then either it works because Harbaugh's now running the show.
Exactly.
Not Joe Shane. So I would imagine that he's gone after a year. Maybe he's able to work well. Who knows, right? But he's also got to do a good job, which he hasn't.
If you're smart as Joe Shane, you just get in line.
Joe Shane also drafted Jackson Dart, who looks like he has a real chance to be a franchise quarterback. He drafted Scatterbo, who for a mid-round draft pick is a piece. They have a couple of good pieces. I texted my friend the Schneid, who's a Giants fan. He's from Staten Island, and we were going back and forth. It's a great fit for both. Harbaugh goes up there. There's not expectations to win a Super Bowl this year or next year. He's building. He's establishing the culture. He goes up there to a rudderless ship, and he reestablishes it because the Giants think and they're looked at as this regal franchise. All the Maras, the Tishes. Bill Belichick was the defensive coordinator, right? Bill Parcells, Lawrence Taylor, you win all those Super Bowls. And they won the Super Bowls with Eli Manning, but really outside of Coughlin, they've had different coaches year after year after year after year.
It's since the boat picture.
I know,
yeah. Since they went on the boat, it's been that. That's what they're known for the last decade. So you don't go there with the expectations, like you said, of that great franchise.
Save us is the
you're viewed as the savior. So you get yourself at least 1 year in that tough market to be, hey, he's the savior. Let's see if they'll figure out your shortcomings. They'll rip them apart there. And it's not like he hasn't worked for one of those organizations with high expectations before.
Agreed.
This is.
You called it a tough market. It's only a tough market because of the size of it. Mm-hmm. Baltimore is probably a more difficult market as a football team. Philadelphia would. Boston would as well. New York's so big, and they have baseball and two teams of baseball, and baseball's actually bigger up there. The Yankees, and then you have the little brother Mets, and it's a really good basketball town, too, so you have the Knicks. The Giants and the Jets, they have their fans, and don't get me wrong, but Harbaugh's not going to go up to New York, and after that many years in Baltimore's like our little brother, just smaller,
right?
With how nuts we are. They wanted Lamar Jackson gone for years. They wanted Harbaugh gone for years. You're not going to get that in New York for 4 or 5 years, if really ever. It's not the same. It's not the same kind of football town.
He does get a pass for at least a year or two just because he's the savior. I will say if they have a franchise quarterback, if Dart looks like he's going to be their quarterback, and they look like they're going to compete in this East, and maybe the Eagles take a step back, and Cowboys are what the Cowboys are, and if the Commanders don't right the ship, and they see opportunity and opportunities lost because they feel like Harbaugh hasn't done it for them, I think it takes 2 or 3 years before it sours.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
it won't be immediate. He's like we said, he's been in the pressure cooker of Baltimore for quite a while.
They could be a playoff team next year. We see it every year.
Yeah.
You see it every year. Last place schedule. You bring in a couple of free agents. You get rejuvenated because you have a guy with an actual clue that's your head coach and your offensive coordinator, and you're playing that sucky schedule, and you go from that many wins to look at the Bears and the headway the Bears made with the new head coach this year. So I'm not predicting playoffs for them. They'll be better.
Oh, but they'll be a sexy pick this summer when we're filling time and you're not going to believe what NBC Sports said about this team.
How about that?
The Giants are going to win the NFC East.
It'll be put it on the show sheet. How about that in August?
Yeah. Ben Solak put out his NFC East bold prediction. Sorry, I love Ben, but that's what it is. It's
when you start doing lists in August, we know where we are.
Right. We had Jordan. I had Jordan on with I think Mike over the summer, and it was like you said the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East. Well, yeah, everyone else had the Eagles. I was I just wanted something different. I was like, all right, that's a nice moment of truth there, Jordan. Thanks, we appreciate that.
Let's get to Jared in Allentown. Wants to talk about the Eagles. Jared, what's up, man? How are you?
One thing I've been thinking about the whole Nick Sirianni and offensive coordinator carousel. Is it about time we look for a head coach that is an offensive coordinator? It'll, give us a few years of a head coach that actually calls plays, gives Jalen Hurts a little bit more stability with the play caller.
So here's my question. Here's my question, and Howie and Nick are talking at 1:30 today. We'll carry it live. Here's my question. You weren't going to fire him after the season, nor should they have thought of, but how many seasons? Let's say they come back out next year and they do the same thing. They make the playoffs, but they don't do a whole heck of a lot in the playoffs. At what point does it become Nick and not Jalen? I feel like then it might become Jalen if there's a different offensive coordinator. In other words, how much rope does Nick Sirianni have with this organization if they don't get back to another Super Bowl? I don't know. Because that's when you'd be talking about. That's when you'd be talking about a new head coach calling plays. You get rid of Nick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think he does have a pretty long rope, Nick Sirianni. Obviously, the whole team loves him, but I just think it's more the fact that we keep losing offensive coordinators every single season.
Yep.
And a lot of these, good offenses in the league have had head coaches that are offensive coordinators. It's something that I love Nick Sirianni, but just something to think about, in a year or two if we lose 1 or 2 more offensive coordinators.
All right, Jared.
We found our guy. The guy that loves Nick Sirianni.
It's him.
We had the caller earlier that said a lot of people love him, a lot of people hate, I guess a lot of people just hate him. There we go. Jared in Allentown. The one that loves Sirianni.
I don't
Nobody hates him.
Well, I don't hate him, but he annoys me with the nonsense.
Yeah. Nick Sirianni's the guy that shows up with the group that you're like, oh, he's here.
Where do you have your Nick Sirianni drops? Because I feel like every time I want to go to one, I don't know where you keep it.
They're all in the middays here.
It's middays.
I'm the dumbest coach in the world.
Right.
So I'm not doing a good enough job.
Right.
Were we in a debate?
Yeah. I have that one.
Fine line.
Yeah, I'd like to find line.
It's so good.
It's just that listen, man, the guys, here we go again with the canned responses, Nick. The guys play for him.
Well, yeah, they get results.
They get results.
The results thing is fun for me because 2 years ago I was ready. I had the pitchforks out. I was ready for him to go. I was like, that you know what? This guy, they got to a Super Bowl in 2022. Everything fell apart. And he got the results, so now I have to just say, well, we've seen him bounce back once before. Might as well give him another shot to do it.
If they same result next year as he's gone, he's back the next season, right?
He's back the next season.
He gets another year.
Right.
If it's a disaster.
Oh, boy.
He could be gone.
Yeah.
If it's a disaster, they'll fire him.
For sure.
And they should.
What about a disappointment?
I don't expect that. No, not
No.
disappointing. Disappointing he's on the hot seat. I don't think he's on the hot seat yet.
No, I don't think he's on the hot seat yet.
Till their first loss next year, then he's on the hot seat.
Well, find out 1:30 how they feel about him.
Coming up. Yeah, 1:30, Howie and Nick Sirianni. Before the press, a lot of answering the questions and questioning the answers. 1 o'clock, Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. A guy that actually has opinions on things. And he'll give them. He's not afraid to share them. He's coming up at 1 o'clock. Coming up next, news at noon with Earnshaw. What do you got for us? Because it says little Embiid. Does that mean that there's a little Embiid?
Or you're going to Embiid in there, a little bit of Embiid, a little hardball.
I thought there was a little person that looked like Embiid.
I thought it was Arthur. I thought we were talking Arthur. I thought we had the kid dunking again. I love that video. Him raise him up, dunking on.
All right, Embiid, Harbaugh, and an Eagles coach that could leave. That's coming up next. Middays with Marks, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Who's the next OC for the Birds? I'm Nick Earnshaw with your Fanatic Sports Update. Diana Rossini from The Athletic reported yesterday that Mike McDaniel and Brian Dable are at the top of the Eagles list. Adam Schefter, well, he also gave his thoughts on the perfect OC situation for the Eagles on Kincade and Salciunas.
That may be stupid, but
I think I would look at all the guys who are on the interview circuit now. Most any of them with an offensive background that don't get a head coaching job, you immediately could put into the bucket of candidates. That would be, I would think, under consideration.
The New York Giants are reportedly filling their head coach opening overnight. Adam Schefter reported that the Giants and former Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh are working to finalize an agreement for him to become the next head coach up in New York. Reports suggest that it could be a 5-year deal worth close to $100 million. The Phillies continue to be rumored the favorites for Bo Bichette, and ESPN's Jeff Passan echoed as to why the Phillies are still favorites and the expectation, well, they're going to be the highest bidder. The Sixers will be back in action tomorrow night against the Cavs. This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. I'm Nick Earnshaw, and your home for the Sixers, Flyers, the best Birds covered, 975thefanatic.com.
1:30, if they start on time, Ray.
They won't.
We have Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, their end-of-season press conference. That we'll bring that to you live at 1:30 for its duration, and then likely that'll just go right into, or will go right into unfiltered. Yeah.
Speaking of unfiltered, Bill, good point. Why would you move up the time? What's going on inside of NovaCare today that you have to free yourself up later in the afternoon?
So you guys are thinking OC.
Yeah.
I was thinking lunch. Maybe they couldn't get a reservation for a certain time, so they moved it up.
That's a good point. Because
I'm hungry right now.
Yeah, I'm starving. I have
a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my bag.
Oh, that's very good.
Ray's in the number 2 chair today. Nick Earnshaw in the number 1 chair. He's coming up there, number 3 chair, the producer. He's coming up with the news at noon. Some hiccups here on the updates there, Ray Dunn. I don't know if you've noticed, but certainly the chat has. They've been commenting.
They're getting after him, and that's unfortunate. I believe in Earnshaw. I want to put my full faith behind Nick Earnshaw and his ability to bounce back. Not every update's in a pristine update. You want everyone to be.
When's the next update, Nick?
No, it's coming up after this.
So a lot like we're talking about the pressure cooker, the offensive coordinator job is, everybody's going to be listening for the update.
Oh, I know.
All right, so
Everyone's
that's coming up
ready.
next.
They're calling for Trish.
But I know they are. Patricia Caputo has been mentioned many times in the YouTube chat. I'll be very clear about this. I have utmost confidence in Nick Earnshaw. He's a huge hire here for 97.5 The Fanatic as a part-time producer. He very easily could slide into any full-time producer role. I think that much of him. He's experienced and he's my guy.
I appreciate that.
So Dave Dombrowski would call you not elite. I'm not saying that. All right? I'm giving you the confidence Dombrowski didn't.
You know what he just did? He turned that into an Earnshaw update snafu into hey, hot seat's actually on Ray because Earnshaw could be a full-time producer around here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
That was the spin zone right there.
Well, listen, all I'm saying is that sometimes you got to have competition come in here, which keeps you guys.
Oh, you think I'm Jake Elliott?
No, you don't need the kicker just needs to go. I don't know if they need competition. But anyway. So that's coming up. So I can't wait to hear his next update. Maybe don't go with sound next time and just keep it simple, stupid.
A lot going on back here with the news at 1:30 and changing.
Well, it's a new board for you and everything else. So you got a lot of things on the shows that you have to get. So I'm not worried, Nick. I'm not worried about it.
Boss is bothering about moving breaks around.
Yeah, we're changing commercials because of the
It's got a lot going on. This is a tough day to fill in right here.
Nick, it's not lip service. I have full confidence in you till I don't. All right, and right now I have full confidence in you. Time for the news at noon.
This city needs its news.
Now, it's time for...
I'd like to be remembered as a good newsman.
The News at Noon.
That's the coolest piece of way I've ever heard in my entire life. That's insane.
With Ray Dunn.
Oh, obviously today, not with Ray Dunn, with me, Nick Earnshaw. Hopefully I don't flub this one. I flubbed the last update. We're going to get better. We're going to bounce back. I have confidence in myself, Mr. Johnny Marks. And my first news at noon is I got to start with Joel Embiid diving into the stands last night. Okay, I don't know if you guys watched that horrific display from the Sixers.
I didn't.
It was bad.
Not gonna lie.
And Joel Embiid gave everybody a heart attack diving into the stands yesterday. He went out of the game at one point, but he eventually talked about it after the game. And here's what he had to say about diving into the stands last night.
That may be stupid, but at that time, I felt like we needed that. I just didn't dive just because I wanted to show off. Felt like I had a chance to save the ball, and I did. And in that moment, being down, in that moment, kind of, every possession mattered. But we should not put ourselves in that position in the first place.
All right, so I want your guys' reaction. It's a January game. All right, I understand it's the Cavs, a little more element. In that game, they're getting blown out. Does he need to be diving in the stands and getting hurt and giving us all a heart attack again?
Yeah, sure. It's a great idea. Yeah.
Wonderful.
He's never going to change. This is what he's going to do. I'm not going to be negative on Joel. All right? I'm not pronouncing the 76ers legit contenders. Anything that I do backfires on me.
Correct.
If I say anything positive about the Sixers.
The winter sports are not kind to you.
They are not. I should not follow them.
Lazard's hurt, by the way. I don't know if you saw that from the Flyers last night.
I did.
Yeah. So this is now 4 losses in a row. 3 of them, the last 3 in regulation.
The minute, you see, Nick, the minute I said that the Flyers are back, this is the Legion of Doom down at the Wells Fargo Center, where the hell they call the X, wherever they call it right now, and the team goes to total hell. So but as far as Embiid, here's the thing. He's not going to get healthy. this is going to be what we're dealing with. He's played really well. Last night was a bad game. You're going to have bad games, right? Like, you're just going to not that he played poorly. The Cavs just took it to him last night. Cavs kicked their ass last night, really. But no, of course he shouldn't be diving into the stands at a game in January.
I love him starting with the "I might be stupid" of that quote, because he's not a dumb guy. He makes very stupid decisions, and that was one of them. The other one, I think it was the second dunk of the season that he had a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Where he was after the game, he's like, "I want to get back to where I could throw it off the backboard and no. We're in this position in part because in that Knicks series, he did that, and you saw him get hurt. That didn't help out the knee that he had surgically repaired before that series. Stop with he has to get out of his mind, and it's a common problem, and I associate with most men as they get older, and I'm not necessarily of that, but I've observed it happen. You believe you are capable of doing things that you were capable of doing when you were younger, and Embiid still in his head is like, I could throw it off the backboard and dunk it, it's going to look sick.
Right.
And then he doesn't think to the
he can, but then he's out for 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
You've gotten older, Joel. Your knees are not what they once were. Please stop with the I'm trying to throw it off the backboard and dunk it thing. I'm glad this gave me the platform to do that because I've been dying to say this into a microphone at some point over the last couple weeks.
Honestly, haven't we seen the template for the best we're going to get out of Joel? You lean on the two guards. You have two young, athletic, great. I love them. And he doesn't have to do too much. You don't have to overuse him.
Right.
He still scored a lot of points. It's not like that he's playing 20 minutes, he's scoring 18 points. He's still scoring points, but you don't have to rely on him all the time to be the only one that can do it.
John, the gravity is still there. Teams will still cheat over to try and stop him offensively, and if you got quick guards, you can make it work.
Tyrese struggled last night. Edgecombe wasn't good last night. So that was really the difference last night was the guards weren't good. And then the game got out of hand in the second half.
No need to dive out of bounds, please.
Yeah.
Please.
All right. What else do we have there, Nick?
All right. Next, we got an Eagles coach that the Cowboys requested permission to interview, and that is Eagles defensive back coach and pass game coordinator Christian Parker for their vacant defensive coordinator job. Now, Christian Parker, his name came up a lot when they went out and got a corner earlier this year, Jair Alexander. They went and got him, and he played under him, the whole nine, that whole thing. So that he was important there, and then Jair ended up not playing. But also, he's helped develop Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell since he's been here. That could be a big loss if the Eagles were to lose him, especially to a division rival. You don't want to lose that guy in your building right now.
If that happens, 5 wins next year, Ray. Eagles, 5 wins.
I was thinking probably 4. I was thinking disaster as well. I will say, though, Christian Parker, and this is the Checo line of, like, the undervalued assistants here, like, you could see his value for this team. It does hurt, though, for a guy that was, I think he was born in Jersey. I'm almost positive born in Jersey. Like, I think he's like one of the, like, quote unquote from here's in terms of like birthplace.
We love people from here.
Oh man, going to the Cowboys, I get it. Better job, I get it. There's only so many defensive coordinator jobs. You're hurting me a little bit here.
Can Kevin Patullo coach defense? Can he go to the Cowboys as a defensive coordinator?
Well, we already lost out on the dream of him being the Giants head coach because I was so thrilled that they were going to take a look at him. But
well, I'd say he was born in Flemington, New Jersey, but he went to high school in Virginia.
All right, so. Yeah, see, that's why he's quote from here. I didn't think.
And he went to Virginia. We went to Richmond, and then he coached in Virginia a bunch. But to what Nick's saying, he's right. Hey, you can't argue with what the defensive backfield looks like right now. I mean, you are really, really good. So yeah, but you know what? And you wish it wasn't the Cowboys. But when you're a successful organization, we've seen it. It's just not the coordinators that leave; it's the positional coaches that then get coordinating jobs, and then that becomes a tree. Steve Spagnuolo wasn't a coordinator here. He was a longtime assistant under Jim Johnson. He went to the Giants. He won a Super Bowl as the defensive coordinator, and then it elevated him to a head coach, then back to a DC. How many Super Bowls has Spagnuolo won? 3? 4?
He's won a few, to say the least.
I mean, geez. So, Christian, I hope Christian Parker gets the job, or I hope he gets a job somewhere else.
Somewhere else, not in Dallas.
And this is where, when you're a successful organization, you need to have that next guy that's ready to come and then be the next Christian Parker.
Right, and Parker was a part of that purge they did in 23 where they brought in, right? He came in after the mess of 23. He was part of that new defensive staff with Fangio. So Everybody wants a Fangio disciple for a reason.
Yeah, he was with Denver he was in Denver
Right.
with Fangio
That's
before
right.
that. All right, finally, Nick.
All right, finally, one last thing on new head coach for the Giants, John Harbaugh. All right, I want to get your guys' thoughts. If you were being taken out, you were being wined and dined, they took Harbaugh out. Joe Shane and the brass for the Giants took him out for Greek food at a Mediterranean restaurant up in North Jersey. So if you're wining and dining your new head coach, where are you guys going? What do you make of that?
I want to go to a steakhouse.
Yeah, I would like
That's
to
where
go.
I would like to
Greek food, Mediterranean. That's where they took Harbaugh to wine and dine him and signed him to that $100 million deal.
Here's my question. Was that just random, or did they get the intel that he loves Greek food?
They had to have gotten the intel.
There was a picture out there at the restaurant.
It's too random just for him to be.
Also,
like, let's go to Secaucus and we'll take him to a Greek restaurant. You get a ghetto.
This Hoboken spot is so great. Everybody's talking about it. I get it. You know, the team headquarters in North Jersey, the whole thing. And I would not want to dump on North Jersey, being I have family from up there. But you are the New York Giants. You telling me you can't take them out in New York?
Yeah, it's kind of pathetic. That's what I'm saying. It must have been this really good Mediterranean restaurant.
Right.
This makes a lot of sense to bring him here.
Also, like, if I'm going that area, Europe up there, I'm going to an Italian restaurant.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Again, it must be the preference of John Harbaugh. It has to be.
It has to be.
And it was in Jersey. They didn't go out to New York City.
Right, that's what he's saying. Like Spark Steakhouse, one of the famous steakhouses.
Yeah, you could do better.
You know, that gives credence for more people to say, it's the New Jersey Giants, not the New York Giants. I'm just saying.
Well, it really is.
Yeah.
All right. That's the news and noon. Good job, Nick.
Oh, you got to try
Like
this
it.
spot in Paramus. Like,
So
come
in
on.
Philly, where would you go? I don't know anything about the dining options anymore. I'm out.
Oh, man, where would I go in Philly?
Actually, when last time my wife and I, the weekend before school started, we spent Saturday night. We got a hotel and we went to what was the name? It was an Italian restaurant. It was really, really good.
Yeah, the issue is I'm broke.
Philly has a great dining scene.
Yeah.
Sampan I've been to a couple
Sampan,
times,
oh,
although like after the first 3 times, it's kind of like, eh.
I could keep going there. I keep going to Sampan. That's a good question.
Elvez, if you like.
Elvez.
Mexican. But there's also there's new places. I'm naming old places that I went to.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Sarai and Fishtown. I would love that's a really good. But I wouldn't take I'm thinking places I would go to. I would not take the chance of hey, this is this really good spot that I like on John Harbaugh showing up.
Right.
Like me going to a place that I enjoy versus I was telling you, I was at Murph's on Monday night. I love the food at Murph's. I love.
But
the
you called it an
atmosphere.
Irish bar, Italian
with
food.
Italian food. It's a wonderful concept.
That's great.
It's like me in a restaurant. Irish drinker, Italian appetite.
I was rewatching the show and I remember you saying it, but then I heard it again. I'm like, that's really interesting because everybody loves an Irish bar, but I don't want Irish food.
Exactly.
Who the hell
Nobody
wants that?
wants the Irish food. Everybody wants a better cuisine. They figured it out, and it's perfect because it's right there along the strip of bars down there in Fishtown. So you put your name in, you wait, you go get a drink somewhere else, you come back, you get your table. It's the only thing. I wish they did reservations.
So speaking of dinner, answer this if this is weird to you.
Okay.
All right. I was supposed to go up to New York, and then I actually took off work. But we ended up not doing it because there was 50-mile-an-hour winds and rain and all this other stuff. So I'm like, I can't go to New York if it's the weather's like that. But I was trying to find a place to go to dinner. So this is my 3 girls, my wife, my mother-in-law, and my mom. So you have to, for a party that big, you have to make reservations.
Yeah,
I can't walk in the Fridays and be like, all right, table for 7, whatever. So I wanted to go to Spark Steakhouse, which I've been to before. Spark Steakhouse, you know why it's famous? I'm a mafia historian.
Okay.
Paul Castellano, the old boss of the Gambino crime family, was assassinated outside of Spark Steakhouse.
Okay.
By John Gotti and a henchman. And primarily the reason I always go there is because I know that, and you go in and everything's the red. You feel like you're watching Goodfellas. Everything's red. It's very traditional, 80s Italian. It feels like the place hasn't been renovated in 30 years. I wanted to take my family and my young daughters to a place that a mafia boss was assassinated. Is that weird?
No, it's a history lesson.
Well, I don't know if I would have shared the story with my 4-year-old.
Not your 4-year-old, but yeah.
I would not have shared the story with anybody.
Well, they got to
including
learn
my
at
wife.
some point.
Well, I don't know if they need to learn right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a good history lesson right there.
Is that weird, Nick, that I wanted to take my kids to an assassination restaurant?
Little bit. Little bit. What? A little odd. Maybe when they get a little older. A little older, maybe.
Yeah, or maybe never, that I need to tell them that someone's blood was shed.
They'll figure it out at some point. They do have Google.
All right, so Go ahead, Ray.
No, I'm just saying, like, yeah, maybe it's not the thing you lead with. You're not like, maybe after the dinner, like,
I think if you had sons, it would make a little bit more sense than daughters.
I feel like everyone gets a little anxious after you tell them that piece of, like, that anecdote's a post-dinner thing. That's like, oh, that dessert was so good. You know why I chose that place, by the way? Like, that's a walking back to the hotel type of thing. That's not a...
It is a walking back to the hotel.
Tonight we're going to the place where a mob boss was assassinated.
Yeah. Anyway, one more family thing here. So I had 2 or 3 kids last week that had type A flu.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Gianna, my oldest, was out of school for 4 of the 5 days. She had a fever for like six straight days. My little girl had the flu, didn't have as bad of a fever, but like she couldn't go to school or whatever. So everybody got better, but poor Bella, my 4-year-old, she had developed this really bad cough on not last night, the night before. So she kept her up all night, kept me up all night. So my wife took her to the doctor yesterday, and she has like a reaction from having the flu in her lungs. She's having trouble breathing. So they put her on this nebulizer. So every 4 hours, she's got to be on this nebulizer for 2 days, which means that means waking her up multiple times during the middle of the night. And then it's like 6 minutes for the nebulizer. And she's not happy about being waked up and putting this mask over her face.
I could imagine.
Something happened. So I did the 10:30 because 10:30 was 4 hours. I did the 10:30 nebulizer. And I just had fallen asleep. It's like 11:30. And she wakes up freaking out. And I run in the room. I'm like, what's going on? Whatever. And she's not making sense. I don't know what the hell she's talking about. She's pointing at we have a camera. Still have like the monitor on her.
Right.
The camera. And it's like, what? I don't understand what's going on. Then she's running in my room and she's pointing at the monitor. And then she's running back in and she's like almost having like an anxiety attack. And then she runs back in my room, starts puking because she's coughing and she's so.
Right.
And so now I'm cupping the puke because she's just throwing up on the carpet. And I can't pick her up and take her into the bathroom. So I'm cupping the puke, a double cup, similar to what you did when you were bleeding doing the update.
No.
Did you know that, Nick? Ray was doing an update. His nose was bleeding. During the update, he cupped underneath and continued the update while his nose was dripping blood into the cup.
Guys built for the
cup.
moment. Guy is built for the moment. I did hear about this.
People were saying that about you coming up small in your last update.
Yeah, totally
Ray
small.
bled for the city.
Yeah.
What will you
total
do?
opposite.
That
Total
update
opposite.
was brought to you by Super Sure. I had to
Even
make
did-
sure that Super Sure got their time in.
Even did the sponsor. That's right.
That's why I was bleeding.
So at like 12:15 last night, I'm vacuuming up the puke with I have the thing that you spray thing on it. And so like 12:30, I'm fine. Then I'm like, oh well, then I gotta get up at 2:30 to do the next nebulizer.
At that
So-
point, you're thinking about you're not getting a sleep because you're thinking about you have to wake up so soon.
No, and then my usual wake up time's 5 o'clock, and it's like, well, Jesus, I'm really not going to go to sleep tonight. So I did not wake up at 5 o'clock. I didn't even set an alarm. Like when I wake up, I wake up. I don't care. But yeah, so hopefully she's going to be doing a little bit better. But I got to do it again tonight. The whole nebulizer.
When you do the no alarm, like what is your body program? What's the latest your body allows you to wake up now, anyways?
4:45.
Okay, I was gonna say like
I wake up at 5 anyway.
Yeah, I figured that you were a program similar to that point.
Yeah, I wake up. I don't ever. My alarm never goes off. I wake up before the alarm. It's a matter of am I getting up at 4:50 or am I getting up at 4:55? Occasionally, the 5 o'clock will hit, and then the alarm goes off and I go crazy. But anyway, all right. Good job, Nick Earnshaw. As the Eagles will be having their end of the year press conference. Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman. I'll be curious to hear because in these press conferences, generally, we've heard Nick speak multiple times a week. We know the Nick-isms. What's he really going to say? What can he really answer? Because these questions are less about Nick; they're more about more for Howie Roseman. So Nick will be asked. Kevin Patullo, obviously, questions on Jalen Hurts. But now this is about Howie Roseman. Why'd you decide to get rid of Kevin Patullo? What are you looking for in a new offensive coordinator? What's going to happen with A.J. Brown? And these really juicy subjects for Howie Roseman. So, and usually Howie's very good with the media. He knows how to answer questions. He knows how to not say anything if he wants to say something. Doesn't want to say anything. So what's your overall prediction for this press conference?
I'm going to be interested to see the dance they do because remember, the statement was that Nick Sirianni, I have made the decision. How much you guys collaborating on the next offensive coordinator? Because they're going to try and tell you that it's a collaborative effort. We all work together. Nobody in this business is better than Howie Roseman, yada, yada. You know, they're going to give you that. The A.J. Brown question will be interesting in how he responds to it. It'll be finished by Nick Sirianni saying, I love A.J. We've got such a great relationship.
Yeah, he's the hype man today to Howie Roseman.
Yeah, Howie's going to give
Right.
you the we love having great players on this team, I think, answer to that.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Right. The way they answer questions about Hurts will be interesting because I would imagine someone's doing a column on Hurts in his season, and someone's just going to ask them
the
direct
question.
what do you make of it? And they'll probably compare it to the Dombrowski presser and the way they talked about Harper. I could see, I'm not sure if it's Hayes or Murphy, but one of the two of them at the Inquirer's writing that.
Sealski.
One
of the columnists will get it.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. And just more on that. And Howie will give you a very confident answer on Jalen Hurts. There's not going to be any, well, I don't know if he's a lead anymore.
Yeah.
That's up for only Jalen knows that. You ain't getting that kind of dumb answer out of Howie Roseman.
I'll be interested to see what they answer about the offensive line. And not so much like, oh, we don't think this guy's good. But
injury.
If they are more forthcoming, because it does give them kind of a pillow of an excuse of like, well,
Injuries.
Yeah. So I want to see how truthful they are with that.
Lane's coming back. There's no reason to believe Lane Johnson's retiring. Just for everybody that's good. But they'll be asked. They should be asked about it.
They'll be asked about that. A couple of free agents. Dean, that answer will be interesting. Phillips, that'll be interesting. Blankenship, that'll be interesting. Those names.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't give Phillips $25 million a year. I don't know what the market is. $20 million a year. I wouldn't give him that. He was good.
It was fun the first couple weeks.
He was good.
And he helped was it energy into that room. That room was good towards the end of the season. I don't remember them doing anything particularly memorable against the 49ers, but he was good. He's not, I'm going to give him $20 million.
And I don't think the Eagles will.
I don't think they will.
And here's why. If you think about what they were looking for, they were in on Myles Garrett for sure. They were in on Micah Parsons, we know.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? They're not interested in the guy that could get you 8 sacks.
Right.
They'll pay a $25, $30 million defensive end that is one of those guys, a true number one.
Do they believe BG's coming back?
I don't think that's even part of anything. No, you can't. I mean, what year is this going to be on Nolan Smith? 4, and you have the 5th-year option, so you can bring him back. He's proven to be a good, not even rotational, but a good defensive end.
Yeah.
He didn't have the same type. He was injured this year, I guess, a little bit.
Yep.
But he didn't have the same.
Year.
He didn't take that next step this year.
Jalix Hunt?
Jalix Hunt actually had a good season.
Led the team in sacks and interceptions, man. That's our guy.
How about that?
Adoree Jackson.
Well, if he's not signed to a multi-year contract before free agency, I'll be upset.
Yeah, that would be a disaster. That if we had to pick one disaster out of this, not locking up your quarterback 2 of the future.
Oh, my God.
Adoree Jackson.
But, so, he's probably one of these guys, in all seriousness, they're looking to draft. Are they looking at a high draft pick to draft their next corner? You're going to have to pay Quinyon Mitchell, but at least you have the 5th year with him. Cooper DeJean has a 4-year contract. You don't get the extra year because he was a second-round pick.
But do you draft a corner when potentially you're replacing A.J. Brown, when potentially you have to look at that offensive line, the defensive front they're always trying to go to? Like, that corner seems like a good idea, but...
We're already late. Jalen Hurts dialogue dominating the week, and there's been a lot of talk on the Jalen Hurts front, so we'll go over all of them. We have audio for what everybody's saying about Jalen Hurts. The Hurts takes from around the country is coming up next. Middays with Marks, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Who will the Phillies outbid for Bo? I'm Nick Earnshaw, your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies continue to be rumored to be the favorites for Bo Bichette, and ESPN's Jeff Passan echoes as to why the Phillies are still the favorite, and the expectation is they will be the highest bidder.
I think the expectation is that the Phillies, at the end of the day, are going to be the highest bidders. They have reason to go after him. They have a need, not just for the right-handed complement to the Schwarber and the Harper, but also just to rejigger that clubhouse.
The New York Giants are reportedly filling their head coach opening overnight. It happened. Adam Schefter reported that the Giants and former Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh are working to finalize an agreement for him to become the next head coach up in New York. Reports suggest that it'll be a 5-year deal worth close to $100 million. The 76ers, they'll be back in action after being blown out by the Cavaliers last night. They'll play them again once more tomorrow. Coverage right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Eagles press conference has been moved to 1:30 today per reports. Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman, they'll break it all down after what could have been considered a disappointing season. This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk driving and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. I'm Nick Earnshaw on your home for the Sixers, Flyers, and the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically Friday.
Might as well be. Yeah, it really is.
And how you're coming up at 1:30. Week's over, boys.
All right, couple things here. First of all, on YouTube, we asked the poll, was 2025 a disaster for the Eagles? More people than not said yes.
57% of the folks.
Yeah, not surprised. Not surprised. When you lose and everybody expects you to win a Super Bowl, I guess my expectation just was it's really hard to win 2 Super Bowls in a row. And the way this team played this year, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, they fell 1 week short of where I thought at the end of the season they would go.
All right, Pat Leonard, who New York Daily News, says the following. Ole Miss offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr., so Charlie Weiss's kid, his name has come up a lot in this cycle as NFL head coaching candidates pitch potential staffs in interviews. And I'm told the Philadelphia Eagles have poked around on him for their offensive coordinator vacancy. He's Jackson Dart's college OC, Ole Miss. He was their offensive coordinator. They made it to the semifinals. It was a very close game. They very easily could be playing for the national championship. Right. And he's one of these young offensive minds that the NFL loves to find.
I believe he was at one point regarded as potentially the youngest OC ever hired in college.
How old is he?
He's 32 now. He was one of the Florida schools. He was hired as an OC when he was like 25.
Florida?
No, not Florida. It was like, yeah, if I go like Florida Atlantic, South Florida, Central Florida, one of those Floridas.
So I don't, like, I'm good with this. I just honestly don't know enough about Ole Miss's offense. And, like, Lane Kiffin's the coach. He's the offensive coach. It doesn't mean that he isn't talented and this young phenom, but I also, like, I don't know that.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. If you want me to break down what he does well as an offensive coordinator, I have not broken down a lot of Ole Miss tape. You know, I haven't been.
Don't Google his name. You won't like the picture.
Oh, yeah. That's a tough go, and that's going to be everywhere too.
So we'll just go off. So he was an offensive assistant with the Falcons. He's with the Alabama before that. Florida Atlantic for 2 seasons. South Florida for 2 seasons. Ole Miss since Lane Kiffin got there. And then, well, he's the LSU offensive coordinator now. So he went over with Lane, but that doesn't mean he has to keep that job.
As we've learned, nothing is sacred when you have a contract between Ole Miss or LSU.
And he's 32. He was the team manager of Kansas from 2012 to 2014.
Can you imagine what the managers that were managers alongside him are doing right now?
So hang 32? On. He was an Alabama assistant in 2015, which means he was 22 as an assistant. Did he play? He was on his father's coaching staff at Notre Dame, holding up cards and doing other things. He began his coaching career at 18, so he didn't play.
No.
He's just a coach's kid.
You didn't go to college. You went to work in college.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got a degree in offense, John.
Like, it's one thing in college. It's another thing when you're in front of a bunch of grown men.
Right.
And we saw with Patullo. Remember the videos we saw with Patullo when he's trying to lead that meeting?
Yep.
And it was kind of underwhelming.
He was at Alabama. If he was there 2015-16, he was there Hurts time. He probably worked for Daboll. So you're telling me the fix to Jalen Hurts' career, and I'm perfectly fine with being the idiot. I'll be the moron with the microphone. You're telling me the fix to Jalen Hurts, this offense, and the Philadelphia Eagles for next season is going to be a guy that 10 years ago was the 22-year-old offensive analyst for Hurts' Alabama team.
Yep.
Maybe he's gained, 10 years is a long time. You could gain a lot of wisdom there. I just don't know if a guy that's basically, the same age as AJ, almost the same age as AJ, and probably younger than some of that offensive line, coming in there is the one to command the respect of this is how everything's going to figure out.
He's also a Nepo baby, right? Because when he was the manager of the team, his dad was the coach at University of Kansas. Then he's a volunteer training camp intern with the Patriots. That's the Charlie Weiss connection.
Yep.
So he keeps getting these jobs. Alabama, all these, they're all aligned. Bill Belichick's aligned with Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Charlie Weiss is aligned with all of it as well. And then he starts getting, it doesn't mean that he can't be good.
No, he could be good. That's why I'm okay being the moron with the microphone. It just seems like this is.
I don't know if this is what we need.
Swinging big right here does not feel like you're swinging big. It feels like it honestly feels like you're plucking Nick Sirianni out of obscurity.
So isn't he technically a disciple of Daboll at this point, right? Isn't it the same thing of Gannon and Vic? Don't you just want the guy himself, right?
Yeah, I just don't think Daboll wants here. right? Like to me, maybe he does.
Eagles want him.
Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't look at it like, because to me, an offensive coordinator like Daboll, that's a former head coach, wants a defensive coordinator head coach. He wants a defensive head coach, even though Nick, we're trying to pretend he's a defensive head coach. But like, we want the defensive coordinator to where they're looking at Daboll and saying, yeah, that's your offense. You run that. I'm the head coach and I'm focusing on the defense. The Eagles are telling you that's the way they want to operate, but is that really like, coming in that Nick's an offensive head coach and you're worried that maybe Nick's totally fine. I mean, I guess Nick's totally fine with not being involved in the offense. I mean, being that he hasn't helped.
Right.
He's not even trying to help.
You don't get the blame. Like, hey, you have nothing to do with the offense. If the offense stinks, well, I guess, I don't have anything to do with the offense. I don't know what you want from me. I'm over here. I'm in, what was the thing in 2024? I'm popping into more defensive meetings. Yeah, like that's his role.
Uncle Jamie checks in. He's making $3 million. Ole Miss offered him $3 million to stay, and LSU topped it. So he's making at least $3.5–4 million.
Man, 32-year-old, good for him.
And Jamie points out Chambliss, who I don't think he's going to be able to go back to college, but he worked with him. He's been being turning him into one of the top quarterbacks last year,
and he might be able to do it. He might be able. It's just that it's a different world. You've seen plenty of college coaches that have gone to the pro ranks that have not been successful. It's just very interesting to me that we talk about, hey, staking your title run on a first-time offensive coordinator, first-time play caller in Kevin Patullo. You're going to stake the bounce-back season of this era on a 32-year-old who's coming from the college ranks.
I remember when Joe Brady was thought to go from LSU offensive coordinator to a head coach in the NFL, and he never got a head coaching job. I don't think he did well in the interviews. What's Joe Brady really done since then? All right at Buffalo. I mean, he hasn't gotten them over the top in Buffalo. We'll see about this year.
Yeah, maybe this year. Maybe he does that. Just to me, when we opened up this conversation about the offensive coordinator, we're talking about swinging big. We're talking about Mike McDaniel. We're talking about Kevin Stefanski. We're talking about those type of names. And they might be pipe dreams.
But that's a sexy name. I don't think it's the right name. It's sexy.
Is it?
If they paid him $5 million a year, he's 32. He's this young wonder cunt. I don't know. Coming up. So remember, Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk at 1 p.m. into Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. Really, it's the Howie Roseman press conference at 1:30. We'll carry it in its entirety. That's coming up. We'll do the Jalen Hurts talk coming up next. What are people saying about Jalen Hurts? That's next. Middays with Marks, 97.5, The Fanatic. Ray Dunn, Nick Earnshaw producing today. Mike Florio coming up here at 1 o'clock. Pro Football Talk. I want to start him with just direct questions on Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and if he, what he believes they are. Because we're now at the phase of they're coming off winning a Super Bowl, but we're, again, unsure if they're really as good as people think they are.
It's the inverse of the entire NFL idea. You're as good as your head coach and your quarterback are, except for the Philadelphia Eagles, who are as good as everything except their head coach and quarterback, what they are.
It's funny, you're right. 12 o'clock hour brought to you by Service First HVAC, offering 0% financing for 48 months. Rebates and tax credits up to $4,300 when purchasing a heating and cooling system. Learn more, ServiceFirstHVAC.com. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, here is Kurt Warner on. So this is they're asked after the season, they lose, and all the talk. LaShawn McCoy comes out and says, "Oh, he can't complex offenses. I checked around over there. No one thinks he can run the offense. That's why the offense is so boring." Do we have Kurt Warner here? Here's Kurt Warner.
That, to me, seems like the most ludicrous part of it is that Jalen couldn't handle more on his plate. Again, it may not be his favorite thing when you may be asking him to do a little bit more in terms of seeing things or reading coverage and what have you. But I just think that's a little bit crazy to say that their simplicity of what they're doing is all because of Jalen Hurts.
Okay. How much of it's because of Patullo doesn't know otherwise? 'Cause the reality is that for all the talk of all the offensive coordinators he's had, they kind of run the same basic offense, right? I mean, they certainly did with – Kellen Moore came in with his offense, and then he was running the Eagles' offense after that.
And it's almost like they got 2024-itis this year, where they're like, it's eventually going to happen, right? We're just going to eventually become the team that we were. Like, yeah, we'll run the ball, and the running thing will work out for us. It worked out for us last year. Like, when Sirianni's asked why didn't things work in the second half and he drops you with the I don't know, it almost seems like they were like, hey, we're going to be that team. We are still that team. We got the name brand. Like, we brought back 10 of 11 starters offensively. That's who we are. That's our identity. It'll show up. And it's like, you waited for it. It never materialized.
Nope.
So is it in part because they couldn't adjust to that? I mean, they showed you in games they can't adjust to what other teams doing against them. That was obvious. They scored less than 10 points per game in the second half. And to me, it's like, yeah, we're going to get there eventually. We're going to find that. We're going to rest the starters week 18 because we're going to be well-rested. We're going to come out and dominate in the first postseason game. We're going to start rolling the ball. So, well, it worked for the first half.
Yep.
Ran the ball well in the first half.
So from there you have James Palmer, who is our weekly guest, is one of our insiders here on the program.
Yes.
He's talking to GMs. He's talking to everybody around the NFL, and he's asking about Jalen Hurts. Here's James Palmer.
And it was funny because I was texting with an offensive coordinator while the Eagles were playing. He's out of the postseason. And I texted him and I go, is Jalen Hurts good? Just like that open-ended, just to see what he said. And he just wrote, no, period.
All right, so that's question one for Florio. Is Jalen Hurts good? Seriously.
I mean, I'm not doubting you're going to ask him.
See, Kurt Warner, former quarterback, understands the nuances of offense and things like that, right? So it's not like the offensive coordinator does, but from a quarterback's perspective, he's saying, I find it very hard to believe that this is all Jalen Hurts' problem. It's not. A lot of this is coaching and play calling and things like that, but a lot of it is. And that's why it's important for me, and it seems like the Eagles, this is what the Eagles are thinking, and Howie is going to speak about this coming up at 1:30. We'll carry it. But are we just going to say, okay, you have to do the tush-push, and we're going to run the ball, and that's going to be what you are as a quarterback, Jalen? Or at some point, you need to actually to press them and to say, hey, we need you to be better as a thrower. I've said this every time I say it. I get people mad at me. As a passer, he hasn't evolved. He just hasn't. This isn't his third year or his fourth year. I need more out of him as a passer.
Hey, you need more out of him just to get this offense moving. And if this offense went into a shell of itself every second half, it's also on him. Like Foles said, what was it? Yesterday we played it for you, and he said talking about that 4th and 11. Like I got plays that I want to like.
You go over there and say, no, here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, here's what I'm thinking. Or like, hey, Nick, we're only up by 1 point here in the second half. This feels like a game we could lose. You know, like at some point you gotta have that real hard. Like I'm the quarterback here. Like my legacy's on the line too. We need to start opening things up here, unless you don't want to.
Right.
So it does fall in part on him. Now, I do listen to that offensive coordinator. And I like that James Palmer is very clear that he was not in the playoffs.
Right, yeah. So unsuccessful offensive coordinator?
A little bit. haven't you succeed with what you got? You get yourself to the postseason first.
Well, not every team has the level of talent to get their team to the postseason, right?
Well,
Like,
of
we
course,
don't know
that
who it
offensive
is.
coordinator believes that he doesn't have the talent.
Is Jalen Hurts a good quarterback? No.
Again, I'm trying to work my mind through who it could be. I want names.
Jeremy Fowler, yesterday with us, ESPN, one of their top insiders and reporters, he did what everybody does with Jalen Hurts. I want to make sure I'm respectful to Jalen because he's a Super Bowl MVP and he's won a lot in this league and blah, 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 blah. And then you get to the details of it, which is that right there, which is how good of a traditional quarterback. I don't think Jalen needs to be a traditional quarterback, but he's not the dual threat, and it's not going to change as he gets older.
No, he needs to be, the mind needs to be opened by both he and the coaching staff of what they need to be as an offense.
Totally agree. We'll discuss with the guy that probably has the most opinions and the strongest opinions on anything in the NFL from all the insiders, Mike Florio. PFT Live, you see him on Football Night of America, ESPN, and Pro Football Talk joins us coming up next, Middays with Marks, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Who's the next offensive coordinator for the Birds? I'm Nick Earnshaw with your Fanatic Sports Update. Diana Rossini from The Athletic reported yesterday that Mike McDaniel and Brian Dable are at the top of the Eagles list to fill that role after Kevin Patullo was relieved of those duties. Adam Schefter also gave his thoughts on the Eagles offensive coordinator situation yesterday with Kincade and Salciunas.
I think I would look at all the guys who are on the interview circuit now, most any of them with an offensive background that don't get a head coaching job. You immediately could put into the bucket of candidates. That would be, I would think, under consideration.
Overnight last night, John Harbaugh looks to be heading to the New York Giants. It is being reported that his contract could be worth up to $100 million over 5 years. The Phillies continue to be rumored the favorites for Bo Bichette, and ESPN's Jeff Passan continues to echo the Phillies being the favorite, and the expectation is they will be the highest bidder. The 76ers, they will be back in action tomorrow night against the Cavs and look to get back on track after a loss last night. Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman will speak at 1:30, and we will carry that right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update is brought to you by the Positive Coaching Alliance. Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org. I'm Nick Earnshaw, on your home for the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Marks on 97.5 The Fanatic. John Marks, Ray Dunn, Nick Earnshaw producing today. 1 o'clock hour brought to you by Morgenstern Hair Restorations. Great teams stick together. So does great hair. Morgenstern Hair Restoration Championship results. Visit morgensternhair.com or call them 610-831-HAIR. Well, Mike Florio has great hair. I know that. Not gray hair, great hair. Maybe he does have gray hair. PFT Live, you can catch that on Peacock, and I believe it's back on it's NBC Sports, the cable network back again. NBC Football Night in America, they have the Rams in Chicago this weekend. Mike, who used to do a weekly hit back probably 10 years ago with me here on 97.5 The Fanatic. From ProFootballTalk.com, he graces us with his presence today. Mike Florio, thanks for a few minutes, sir. How are you?
Doing great, buddy. Thanks for having me. Good to be with you. It's not for me to decide whether my hair is great. It is real, and it is getting more and more gray all the time. And I refuse to do anything to change the natural color. My general approach is no amount of dye is going to change the fact that we all, if we're lucky, will get old and eventually die, not D-Y-E, but D-I-E.
Well, it's a distinguished look now. It's like the sexy men in their 40s or have the gray hair. They don't try to dye it anymore. That's what our parents did.
Well, that's right. And if you're 60, it's just a matter of hanging on to the hair as long as you possibly can.
Well, you're hanging on to it. I'm going to start with you with a very basic question, okay? Because it's weird. The Eagles have been to 2 out of 3 Super Bowls. Now, after this year, it'll be 2 of 4. They've won 1. Jalen Hurts would have been MVP in 2. He was an MVP in 1. Nick Sirianni has been to the playoffs 5 straight years. 5 years with the Eagles, 5 straight years. But yet we can't figure out how good they are. So how good of a quarterback is Jalen Hurts? It goes year to year, but do you consider Jalen Hurts the top quarterback in the NFL?
Well, top what?
10?
Top 5, no. Top 10, no. After the top 10, who knows? And if you're middle of the pack, right? I said this about Brock Purdy last year when the 49ers were trying to figure out his contract. Like, if he's number 16, there's only 15 guys in the world that are better at your job than you in the entire world. So there's no shame about being a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. Jalen Hurts is accomplished. He's achieved great things, but there's a sense that he doesn't live up to his full potential or take the team to its full potential. The general thought nationwide is the Eagles are supremely talented, but there's something that keeps them from being as good as they can be each and every year, that this should be a dynasty, not a team that's been to only 2 Super Bowls and won 1. This team should be racking them up and should still be alive now. And look, with Hurts, there's a lot of different theories. I thought the report from Derek Dunn that emerged during the season was very telling. The bottom line is this, though. The Eagles need to acknowledge there's an issue with the offense, and they need to fix it. And the problem is, when they fix it one year, they fix it so well, they win a Super Bowl, and there goes the coach. And then they have to find a new coordinator, and it doesn't work out like it did this year. And this revolving door of coordinators just needs to end. I don't know how you do that, because if you keep making good hires, you keep losing them, and then you make a bad hire and you got to fire him. And for some reason, none of it sticks to Nick Sirianni, and not much of it sticks to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's strange. And then to Nick Sirianni, we on the show, Mike, we're not going to consider him an offensive coach anymore with an offensive background, because when they need him to be an offensive head coach, he doesn't do it. And then they're relying on Brian Johnson 2 years ago. You have Kevin Patullo this year. It's almost like Nick Sirianni just is one of these real CEO head coaches that doesn't have an offensive background where, like you said, now you're like John Harbaugh. Now you have to rely on bringing in a different offensive coordinator. He's powerless when it comes to the offense. It's just very strange.
And when you got the job by being an offensive coordinator, that's what's so weird about it. Especially on the offensive side of the ball, we see the coach wanting to continue to ride the horse that brought him to a head coaching job. And, yeah, it's almost as if Sirianni has completely delegated to the point where when it's time to get involved, he doesn't know how. After the win against the Bills, the second time during the season that the Eagles went a full half 0-7 or worse in the passing game, he said that there isn't enough time between plays to really have input, so he needs to spend more time between series working with the offense. Well, there was only one game that they really tried to win after that. That was the playoff game. I don't know what he was doing between series. I don't remember any shots of him away from the sideline working with Kevin Petullo, working with the offense. I think back to Sean McVay's first year with the Rams when he basically throw the keys to Wade Phillips when the defense was on the field and go sit on top of a Gatorade jug and plan the next series offensively. So it's just a strange dynamic, and they're good enough that it doesn't merit dramatic change, but they're not making the change necessary to address these problems. And I don't know whether they won't acknowledge the problem or they know what the problem is and they have no idea how to solve it. But I think that's job number one for this offseason. Be honest with themselves about what the problem is and do everything they can to come up with a solution so that the offense gets the most out of its potential each and every week. Because if it does, the defense is more than good enough to take this team incredibly far into every year's playoffs.
You mentioned the odd dynamic here, and we've talked about the quarterback and the head coach and what could be wrong with this offense. How attractive is this offensive coordinator job to someone to step in here? Because you've seen them go to head coaching jobs, and you've also seen two guys that have been fired over the last 2 years, over the last 3 years in this position.
It's risk reward. You have an opportunity it's like walking a high wire. You have an opportunity if you can get to the other side to be a head coach. But also there's a chance you're going to fall off. And if I'm going to take that job, I want to do a full dive. I want to sit down and talk. I want to understand how we got to where we are, what went wrong in 2023 and 2025, and how we finally fix it. It can't just be a Band-Aid. There's a deeper fix that's necessary. And if it is an issue, and Derek Gunn's report I thought was fascinating, that Jalen Hurts, according to Gunn, just does whatever he wants, plays his game, doesn't get through the reads the way that they want him to, and there's an attitude, according to Gunn, that he has them over a barrel contractually. That's one of the realities of doing these contracts with multiple years of option bonuses that give the player a lot of cash and create the kind of future cap charge that you can never have accelerate into any given year, so you're stuck. You can't trade him. You're there. The first year was tradable. After 2023, it would have been a very easy contract to trade, much like the Sauce Gardner trade when the Jets sent him to Indianapolis. But the deeper you get into the contract, the harder it is to do anything. And if that's true, then they have to just get to Jalen Hurts, and they have to work with him. They have to accept the fact. If he's got the power, they have to acknowledge it. And if he's only going to run the offense the way he wants to run it, then you know what they need to do? They need to design an offense that is specifically tailored to what he wants to do and get the most out of it that way. You can't try to keep jamming a square peg into a round hole. You've got to tailor the offense to suit the desires of the guy that you're basically beholden to when it relates to your overall offensive approach.
Yeah, talking to Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. Yesterday, something came out, a couple reports came out that the Eagles were looking for a big hire on offensive coordinator, and it talked about giving the offensive coordinator full autonomy. Kellen Moore came in with his own offense. By week 5, he was running the Eagles' offense, which was hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, right? So it seems like the Eagles know that this quarterback needs to evolve as a passer. And you could see, instead of bringing in more or less the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts offense, maybe you could see a Mike McDaniel if he doesn't get a head coaching job. Maybe you could see a Cliff Kingsbury. Maybe Dayball's willing to take the job. Maybe a LaFleur. But it does seem like the offense is finally going to change, Mike.
Well, and it reminds me of the story that Tony Dungy tells of when he was looking for an offensive coordinator in Tampa. He asked one of the people he was interviewing, what's your plan for Warrick Dunn and Mike Allstott? And the coach said, well, they'll fit my system. And Dungy, as politely as he always is, basically said that's the wrong answer. We need an offense that takes into account these two players, and we need to have a plan for getting the most out of what these two players do. So if you're the Eagles, there's two ways to look at this. One, you design an offense specifically to suit Jalen Hurts and to make him as successful as possible within the confines of the things he does well, the things he doesn't do well, the things he likes to do, the things he doesn't like to do. The other thing you do is, we're going to run the Eagles offense, and we're going to draft a quarterback. We're going to use a second-round pick like we did with Hurts when Carson Wentz was there, like the Patriots did with Jimmy Garoppolo when Tom Brady was there. It's a shot across the bow, and it may be a B-12 shot for the quarterback who realizes, you know what, if I don't do what they want me to do well enough, maybe they're going to turn to the other guy. At some point, if you're not getting everything that you want and need out of your quarterback, you either have to give him an offense that lets him do his thing, or you have to give him competition that forces him to do what you want him to do.
When you ask around the league, is the expectation A.J. Brown is going to get traded, and do you think that's an easy fix for maybe perceived lack of chemistry issues? And listen, A.J. didn't hide that he wasn't exactly happy here in Philadelphia. But what's everybody saying around the league?
Well, I think that A.J. Brown was a guy that folks were watching as the trade deadline approached. I think the Eagles tried to stake out a territory where they weren't shopping A.J. Brown, but anybody that may have been interested in A.J. Brown had an opportunity to call and make them an offer they wouldn't refuse. The reality, when you have a player that deep into the year, if you would trade him between the trade deadline or June 1 of the next year, your cap consequences are exactly the same. They don't change. So I think that a recognition was made, and I think this is the smart way to handle it. Unless someone blows us away with an offer for A.J. Brown, because the message clearly wasn't, he's never getting traded no matter what. Why are we even having this conversation? It's stupid to even suggest it. The vibe that was out there was, if somebody really wants him and really makes us an offer that we say, hey, we got to take this, we'll do it. I think that teams will be calling, and calls get made all the time between teams about who's available, who's not. There will be teams that are calling about A.J. Brown, and the Eagles are going to have to decide what to do. And that whole situation, I love high drama in the NFL. I love stories that are fascinating because it gets people to come read about what's going on at ProFootballTalk.com. But, the Eagles do such a great job of concealing the heart of the problem. But at the same time, they don't do a good job of keeping the noise and the smoke away. Like, we all know something's wrong. We don't know what it is, but we all know something's wrong. And at some point, you just have to acknowledge this isn't sustainable and we need to move on.
Going back to the offensive coordinator conversation here, are there names that you're hearing early on here? And is there a name specifically that you would be most interested in for the Eagles to have as their offensive coordinator going into next season?
Well, look, you can go in a bunch of different directions, and this is the problem when you have a lot of choices. You eventually have to choose one of them. Mike McDaniel fascinates me because his offense works. And the problem for him in Miami was the guy at the middle of it couldn't stay healthy consistently enough to get the most out of it. Now, the exotic stuff they do and flipping the ball around, and it's a thing of beauty when it's going well. I don't know that works for Jalen Hurts, and I don't know that Mike McDaniel would want to do that with Jalen Hurts. But the one thing that impressed me about McDaniel, when he got the job in Miami, first thing we saw was McDaniel on the plane, FaceTiming Tua Tagovailoa, making it clear, you're my guy, you're my guy. That kind of attitude, like somebody who's really propping up the quarterback and championing the quarterback and making it all about him and making him the guy who's clearly the man. I don't know, does something like that make a difference with Jalen Hurts? I just think that at that deep core level, whatever it is that they have managed to completely and entirely conceal, someone's got to crack through that. And I think McDaniel's got – now, look, they could end up hating each other too, but I think McDaniel's got – because think about it. Think about how Jalen Hurts is circumspect and doesn't say a single word more than what he has to say, and McDaniel – you get a 15-minute answer out of him if you ask him a simple question. But McDaniel is fascinating because it goes back to that high wire metaphor. It's either going to work incredibly well or somebody's going to go splat.
Right, and it might work 1 year and then he's gone, and then you don't have to worry about the second year because if teams make adjustments and he's back, it doesn't necessarily have to work every year that he's there. But I don't know if he may get a head coaching job, but. We'll see about that.
Sean, the whole beauty of having because I say all the time, if you've got a franchise quarterback, it's better to have an offensive coordinator as your head coach. Yeah. Because if you have a defensive coach, look what happened in Tampa. Baker Mayfield has his own coaching tree now between Liam Cohen and Dave Canales. You have to constantly worry about your offensive coordinator getting hired away. You want to be able to Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams a situation. Yep. You want to know that these two guys are joined at the hip and they're together and it works and everything else is just details around that relationship. That's what makes it so confounding that Nick Sirianni, as an offensive guy, has abdicated the offensive responsibility, and it just complicates everything because when things do go well, you need to find a new coordinator. When things don't go well, you need to find a new coordinator.
Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, PFT Live, NBC Football Night in America. Got the Rams and the Bears. I'm officially off thinking the Bears can't win any of these games the way that they're finishing games. So I'm going to jinx them now. I'm going to pick the Bears to beat the Rams this week, Mike.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm doing the same thing. But the best story of the past weekend, and there were many of them, Ben Johnson explained after the Bears came back to beat the Packers down 21-3, He showed his team Super Bowl 51 in training camp, and he has on the roster a player from each of the two teams involved. Grady Jarrett, formerly of the Falcons, Joe Tooney, formerly of the Patriots. And he got his guys to believe that, number one, you can come back from a deep deficit, and number two, it presents an opportunity to do something special. So they have 21-3 now, inspired by their study, appreciation, and understanding of 28-3.
Big fan of Ben Johnson. Love the F the Packer stuff. Do not like the phony handshake that he gives LaFleur at the end of the game. Not a fan of that.
Well, he's not afraid to mix it up. He's not and this is where folks need to understand, like this whole coaching fraternity, you rely on that network of other coaches because when you get fired, you need to find a job. So, fans think of F the Packers, F the Cowboys, F the Giants, right? F the Commanders. But the people involved, the coaches realize, hey, I'm going to be wearing one shirt one year, and I'm going to be wearing a different shirt the next year, and then I may be wearing a different shirt the next year. I need to have a network of people that I can trust who like me. And Ben Johnson's making a lot of enemies among the guys that one of these days he may be looking to for jobs.
Yep. Mike, thanks. Great stuff, man.
All right, see you, John.
All right, there is Mike Florio. Yep. And that's the one thing with Sirianni, although he does have, because he's coached a long time as a positional coach, the whole yelling and screaming and all the frat brother stuff he does, I hate it. It's like with Ben Johnson. I get what he's doing. He's convinced his team, F the Packers. It's like with the Cowboys, what Dick Vermeil did with the Cowboys. They're the enemy. They're the rival. And, like, I shake the man's hand like a man.
Yeah.
Like a man.
I mean, I think you're seeing right now the McVay tree and this Ben Johnson. I think you're seeing the splits because it doesn't seem like McVay really likes him.
No.
I think maybe that we're starting to see like a little, Hatfield McCoy's type deal going on here? Like a little bit of the two rival factions going on back and forth between these coaching trees?
What do you think? I mean, when they play next year for the first time, if he's the Packers coach, if they're able to.
It seems like he's going to be.
Right, they need to extend him. I mean, that's a big week. That's
going to be
game.
awesome.
Holy cow.
It was awesome this year.
It was. And give Johnson credit. He gets it. I think you can shake his hand like a man and then go do F the Packers.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. At this point, I think the amount of time that's been spent on, not just with us, but I think nationally that's been spent on it, I've gone to the other side where at the moment I was like, handshake. Now that everybody's had the he should have shook his hand. I'm like, you know what? Screw him.
Unless LaFleur gave him a reason not to do it.
Right.
Which there's no indication that's the case.
Which I know we've had the YouTube chat has been saying that LaFleur did first earlier this season. Maybe he did, maybe he did. I don't remember him doing it. To me, this is Packers Bears. This is back. Like this is
back,
real,
man. It's good.
It's not
good.
just Aaron Rodgers is the owner of Chicago.
Thoughts on what Fleury had to say about Nick and Jalen and everything else?
You know he's working his hardest right now to dig into anything going on that he could get. That's what he just told us. He's telling us that he is circling like a vulture that sees something down there on the ground. He wants to find exactly what the cause of this is.
I mean, and he's exactly right with the problem that the Eagles are in. If you find a good offensive coordinator and their success, he's a head coach. If you stink, either way, you still need a new offensive coordinator.
Right, and I'm going to be the only person in the world that makes this comparison, but it's the Temple football problem.
I used it last week.
Oh, did you? Yeah, it's the Temple football problem.
No, when you find a great head coach, he's gone, even if he's not that good. And then you're left looking for the next coach.
Correct.
I mean, think about it. Steve Adazio sucked. He goes to Boston College. Jeff Collins, he wasn't great. He goes to Georgia Tech.
Guys, yeah.
He goes to Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Matt Rule you hire, and he had a great run. He sets up two other head coaches.
Yep.
And he leaves.
Matt Rule was so good that the first year of Rod Carey, they went to a bowl game.
Oh, my
and
God.
That's the thing. You're probably hiring, and now it seems with Keeler that this is like his last job. And, but I don't need to get Temple takes here. But it was like in 3 years, you're making a decision on a coach either way. I'd rather, and this is kind of where we go with the swinging big thing. If they're replacing an offensive coordinator, they had a really, really good season. And you know what? How I said 2031's a fake year?
Or a really bad season.
Right, but I mean, if they're replacing him because he got another job, like because he got hired away, like that means you had a really good season. So I'm not worried about having to do this constant churning over thing.
No, but I mean, the lesson learned here is that you don't just go with whoever Nick wants.
Right.
Internally.
They'll never do that again.
You go out and you swing big. So maybe if you get a McVay-type guy, then it's who is that guy developing? Or, like right now, the Rams have, if you look at any list of offensive coordinator candidates. You have the Rams passing game coordinator. You have the Rams quarterbacks coach. You have the Rams offensive coordinator. You have a tree. And then you go to Shanahan. They're all intertwined. So then you have the offensive coordinator of the Niners, the pass game coordinator, whatever. You get one of the young guys, and then they're the next guy. And then they're the next guy. You live with, okay, we're just going to take all these McVay disciples to come in, and then they use this job as to be a head coach.
Yeah. I'm cool with taking the guy that needs the next big shot. That's perfectly fine, mate.
All right, coming up next, so check this out. Nick Sirianni, but more importantly, Howie Roseman. This is really a Howie Roseman press conference with Nick as kind of the Flavor Flav to the Chuck D. You probably don't understand that.
Howie does such a great job.
But Howie's going to do most of the questions for Howie. Nick's going to answer questions on Patullo and AJ. He's not going to say anything. Howie Roseman's going to have to question the answer and answer the questions. So he's going to be up there, and when's the last time we heard from Howie?
Ooh.
Trade deadline?
Yeah, trade deadline.
He doesn't talk a lot.
No.
That's coming up. It was scheduled at 1:30.
Yeah, we'll see you at 1:45.
We'll come back. We'll lead you right into it, and then we'll be done for the day.
We're out.
In its entirety, and then Bill and Ricky will take you after the press conference for your reaction. Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, everything that's going on with the Eagles. That's coming up next. Middays with Marks, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
This update is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org. Will A.J. Brown be an Eagle beyond this year? I'm Nick Earnshaw with your Fanatic Sports Update. The trade speculation is nothing new with A.J. Brown, and Mike Florio joined Middays with Marks just a couple of minutes ago and mentioned teams will call Howie Roseman regarding A.J. this offseason.
I think that teams will be calling, and calls get made all the time between teams about who's available, who's not. There will be teams that are calling about A.J. Brown, and the Eagles are going to have to decide what to do.
Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni will speak at 1:30. We'll have coverage right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. John Harbaugh is heading to the New York Giants. It's being reported his contract could be worth over $100 million through 5 years. The Phillies, they are still in the mix for Bo Bichette. Jeff Passan continues to echo the expectation is that the Phillies will be the highest bidder. This update is sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless. Your favorite song shouldn't have to wait for Wi-Fi. Switch to Straight Talk and get real unlimited data on Verizon's 5G network. Straight Talk, available at straighttalk.com or Walmart. I'm Nick Earnshaw on your home for the Sixers, Flyers, and the best birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Nick Sirianni. And we'll let you know that once that comes up, Nick Earnshaw is going to give me the signal, and we'll throw it right to him. All right, so question. What was it that you asked earlier about? How many times does Nick Sirianni kiss Howie Roseman's ass?
That's in my notes.
Talking about like how great a GM he is, or how many great players he gives. We will know the kiss ass when we hear it.
Yeah.
How many times?
I think I had the over/under at 3.5.
So I'm going to go under and say 3. 4 would be because he's not going to talk that much.
No, but he's going to. I think there's going to get a point where he gets antsy, and like the Sirianni, or how he gives an answer, and Sirianni wants to give a little
he needs to get involved,
right? Like, I know, like the AJ Brown question. Roseman will take it, and then Sirianni will jump in with the, I love AJ, and how he does such a great job of putting us in a position to have great players. Yeah, like he'll do a nice little feature into the question that goes to Howie.
How many over-unders, by the way, will Howie jump in and interrupt Nick Sirianni?
Ooh, over/under 2.5, 1.5. I'll take the over on.
Over.
Yeah.
I'm taking the under on the Sirianni kiss ass. What about you, Nick Earnshaw?
Over on it all. Over on it all. Because, it was a disaster of a season.
According to our YouTube chat, it was.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I think he's going to give him credit for putting together a great roster. He's going to take it upon himself that they failed. So he's going to give credit for how putting together a roster that they should have done more with. So that'll be 1. 2 will be with a Patullo decision. Howie and Mr. Lurie do a really good job of giving us the talent to work with, and I'd have no doubt that we're going to do everything we can to find an offensive coordinator to put us in a position to succeed. So there's
That's
2.
A lock.
The AJ one's kind of questionable whether or not he'll involve Howie in it. And then other than that, it's about finding a really good 4th question for Nick Sirianni. And I think that'll be...
Well, sometimes, listen, Nick just talks, so sometimes he's just going to talk into it without there being a question.
He does it during the week. Randomly during the week, Howie Roseman dances into his mind, and he's like, well, Howie's one of the best.
Well, he's never asked about high school football, but yet he manages to talk about high school football all the time.
Mount Union has never once been talked about in Philadelphia until this moment. The only thing Mount Union, I think Rowan, the people at Rowan talked about Mount Union a little bit because that's a good program, right? Good D3 program, Mount Union.
Yeah. Somehow he weaves in. He's asked about the offense. Somehow he weaves in back in Mount Union. I've never seen anything like it. He's unbelievable with it.
Over under half a mentions of Jay Sirianni today. Or his father.
None. This isn't a Nick Sirianni press conference. This is very businesslike. This is not fun.
Mr. Lurie, how many?
So here's the 2.
2?
2.5's the over-under. But also, here's something you're going to hear from Howie today. And it's something, the exact opposite you heard from Dave Dombrowski.
We have a good club.
The lack of urgency from Dombrowski, which was, if it would have...
Fine line.
If Trey Turner would have done, if this would have happened, we almost beat the Dodgers. Yeah, right? Like, we pretty much beat the Dodgers, but bad luck caused us not to beat the Dodgers.
Right.
Howie Roseman will come out to say, and he'll talk about urgency in winning a Super Bowl, that they're not satisfied with winning last year's Super Bowl. He will talk about an urgency with him, Jeffrey Lurie, and the organization. Book it. He always does. And it's smart.
I agree with that.
That's where the fans are.
Another one I've thought of, prop bet wise. Who's the reporter that asks the question that gets us the answer that we talk about tomorrow?
Jeff McClain.
McClain?
Tim McManus.
I got McManus.
It's McClain or McManus. Berman's always a strong candidate to get the question that gets kind of an honest answer. Because the reality is that they're going to say what they're going to say to not be controversial for most of the stuff. But then you might get a peek of some real giving a candid answer to a question. Dombrowski's too candid.
Right.
Howie knows how to play the game, but Howie also will be honest sometimes if he needs to.
I was thinking maybe a long odds is one of the columnists. I could see a very heated exchange today.
Okay. Believe me, I've been wrong. I thought Dombrowski was going to be, this isn't good enough. We need to get better. And you said you think he comes out and says everything's great. Yep. And he came out and said everything was great.
Hey, man, they got a good club.
Fine line. We have a good club.
Oh, I'm still mad about it.
We could not have gone into that presser expecting more different things. And I was just sitting there like,
Yeah, well, because and you can see why Dombrowski feels like that. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's kicking his feet up. We have a good club. We were close.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting there being like, Jesus Christ, you lost. If you could have figured out a way to win the games, if you could have put together a better team, maybe you beat the Dodgers.
what could they say today that has you reacting the way you reacted to Dombrowski tomorrow? What would be the thing
I
that
don't think it's possible.
You don't?
No, because I mean, everything's fine with the offense. We're going to hire an offensive coordinator. They're not going to come in and say everything's fine. They're not. Even after winning a Super Bowl, too, they're not going to come in and say that. That's what would cause that. If it felt like they thought everything was fine and don't overreact, it's really hard to win a Super Bowl after winning a Super Bowl, which is true.
Yeah,
but I don't want to hear it.
Right.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that from them.
Okay, but that would be something if you do hear that today that you would come in tomorrow.
I'd be
upset.
pissed.
Okay.
Wait, it just they need to be able to get it. And the one thing that this current Eagles regime under Banner didn't get it. Under Howie Roseman gets it. They're very smart. They know what the fan wants to hear, but they also act like we're acting.
Yeah.
They make decisions like hey Howie, you can't draft. Just draft Georgia and Alabama players. What does he do?
Just drafts Georgia and Alabama players.
And it worked.
And then a corner from Toledo and a corner from Iowa.
Right. And it worked.
It worked.
And now they're great drafters.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out in my mind what would have me, gripping the steering wheel tight as I'm driving home listening, like what I would freak out about. I think that, if they seem like they're resting on their laurels, but I can't imagine them doing it. Can't imagine them doing that. If I get a very folksy Sirianni story today, that'd probably do it for me, but that's not something we react to all weekend. That'd just be me personally.
I'd also be angry if they just totally didn't answer any questions or gave the stock answer of no real insight.
Right.
I need something. Like A.J. Brown was toggling between social medias complaining about the team. Right, I need a little bit of honesty and insight about A.J. I don't need to hear we're definitely trading him. I need something, though.
I think that'll be the thing that sets you off then.
All right, but it just can't. What I'm saying is everything just can't be. You're giving a phony answer.
Right.
You're not giving me anything. I need something from you. You just can't be fake. Oh, we want to win. Blah blah blah. I need a little bit of something.
The AJ stuff, I think they're going to deflect right off of.
I agree.
I think that's not even going to be close. They're not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
It's going to be the getting good players is really hard to do, and
He's had a lot of great moments for us.
We don't give away good players, but also we get teams that call us for our good players, and these are things that we have to consider because he's done that before. I think he answered it like that at the trade deadline when they asked him about A.J. Brown.
Yeah,
he never said we didn't talk about trading A.J. Brown. He never said A.J. Brown's here for the next 5 years. He talked in the very GM speech of A.J.'s a really good player, and we don't like to get rid of A.J. Good players, and blah, blah.
He's liked in that locker room.
Yeah, just I'm not sure what else. The Jalen stuff, it'll be. What's he going to say? I think he fully backs Jalen. He does the anti-Dave Dombrowski, the non-elite. What are the odds of him calling Jalen Hurts not elite?
If he calls Jalen out, there you go. I mean, we got tomorrow. We'll bank that show sheet because I can't imagine that.
0% chance of happening. He would never do that. Oh, he's smart enough to know he's going to have Jalen's back. He's going to talk about him being a Super Bowl MVP. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, all right, well, now they're officially 9 minutes late to the...
I don't like tardiness.
Yep, to the press conference.
Every time, man. It's every time. Every freaking time.
So what are they doing?
They're talking to Charlie Weiss right now.
We had we had a 4 o'clock meeting yesterday.
Yep.
Right? We didn't start it at 4:10,
no.
4:15. I didn't roll in.
3:59, I was in that Zoom meeting.
Like if you're having lunch,
meeting.
Is it a late lunch? Is that what it is? Or are they just getting back? Were they looking for
they're
the
at
server?
Barclay Prime. They had tough getting back down to South Philly.
Where is the server? Can we get our check, please? Yeah.
They had one too many at Palladium. They're trying to sober Nick up. I don't know.
That's a real possibility.
It was originally 2 o'clock. That's the problem here. You moved it back, and now it's going to be 2 o'clock anyway.
Did they do that intentionally? Because last year they were late. Or 2 years ago they were late. Whatever it was. I mean, it's a constant problem with them.
I don't like tardiness.
Yeah, I can understand. Before weekly press conferences or a press conference where Bob Lang, who runs communications down there for the Eagles, and he does a great job. There's things that are happening over the course of a day during a season where you need to grab Nick and say, hey, I need you for 5 minutes. And you're going over some talking points.
Right.
Hey, you're probably going to be asked about this. Hey, this has been said in the media. Hey, this has been something that was reported nationally. You're probably going to be asked by this. And you're preparing your coach. There's nothing that's happened here over the last like this morning, nothing's happened where they would be unprepared and they needed additional coaching or a mock press conference.
Right. Hey, bud, I think you're going to be asked about A.J. Brown. I think you're going to be asked about Kevin Patullo.
Do you have any of the Nick Sirianni first press conference stuff on your board or no?
Man.
Because that was when they were so scared to death in having him in front of the media. They waited so long to do it, and then I think it made him even more nervous. And then he came out an absolute dog in the headlights, or deer in the headlights, deer in the headlights. And they lived in infamy. Well, that's not it. Don't worry about it. That lived in infamy. Meanwhile, the dude won a Super Bowl and went back to another Super Bowl. What were the odds that day after you heard that press conference that Nick Sirianni was going to be 5 for 5 in playoff appearances and go to 2 Super Bowls?
I would have made a lot of money if I bet on it. Would have made. I probably would be part owner with Jeffrey Lurie if I bet on it at that point. I mean, those were some long odds. Honestly, if after, and now since I went out of it, after we all fertilize, I was like, oh God.
And that turned his career around.
Yeah. I mean, since that time, what?
Are you watering and are you fertilizing?
Hey, man, everybody should be out there.
This is great. It's great.
We all fertilize.
All right, who's yes or no on offensive coordinator? It seems like Todd Monken is going with Harbaugh to the Giants.
Would have been intrigued, but yeah, it seems like that's not going to happen.
Mike McDaniel.
Yes, he says, very unsure of how that dynamic would work in there. I guess Florio didn't bring up him and Fangio working together in Miami, so I guess that's not a problem.
Until it is.
Yeah, I guess it was just Fangio's players on defense that hated him.
Yeah, but also, if he did a poor job of setting the culture, you don't need to worry about that here, right? Like, if you're Fangio, if you think he may very well be telling Howie Roseman, shaking his head like no, or he might be saying, as an offensive coordinator, yeah, for sure.
It's just 2 goofs over on the offensive. Well, 1 goof and one that's running the whole thing is a goof.
Kingsbury.
No.
I'm out too.
I've been out on him for a long time.
What reason? Seriously, honest question. What reason would you think that Kingsbury's going to be successful anywhere he goes? Honestly,
in this, he brings a style that
because he looks like
because
he looks like he should be a good offensive coordinator because he's handsome.
Yeah, I would say maybe he's able to dial up something that Hurts feels comfortable. Maybe he's the best case for Hurts to feel comfortable with. Of like. See, I'm already grasping at straws here.
Isn't he one of the coaches that wears capris too, like McDaniel and McVay?
Yeah.
He's another capri guy.
He's on the, and that's why I like Matt LaFleur because he doesn't wear the capris, but he's handsome.
Yeah, obviously.
He's the one that's wearing he's still stylish, but he's not wearing capris. Brian Daboll.
Yes.
Something still tells me I don't know. I just don't know if it's a good fit here.
I think some of the water's been muddied by the fact that we had this conversation mid-season that like, oh yeah, that's the guy they should bring in to help with the offense mid-season, or he should be the offensive coordinator. Like I was at Stateside Live for Eagles Lions.
Did you walk there?
I did not. No, I have walked from my apartment down to South Philly though. I was at Stateside Live. I was using the bathroom, and there's an argument going on at the sinks of the bathroom at Stateside Live. They need to hire Daboll. They need to fire him fire Patullo right now. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, this game's going so terribly.
Right. That's the Craig Carton dopey idiotic opinion that's never going to happen. Oh yeah, I got it fixed for the Eagles. Just hire Brian Daboll right now.
Yeah.
Oh sure. Oh, I got an Eagles fan. Fire Nick Sirianni and hire John Harbaugh. There you go.
Yep, there you go. Good national take.
And at the urinal, that's what people are yelling at.
Yeah, that's what they're yelling about. Like, I was like, is there a fight about to break out behind me over Daboll being the... Because then someone's yelling, oh, Frank Reich. They should get Frank. I'm like, you all are very comfortable just talking to strangers and arguing about the Eagles.
I heard so many names walking out of that stadium. Because I was at the game on Sunday.
Oh,
sorry.
And I heard so many different names. I heard Patullo and... You know, that wasn't a great idea to bring his name up throughout. And then I heard Kingsbury. I heard Daboll. I heard so many different names being talked about walking out of that stuff.
I am looking for the audio from the Eagles-Browns preseason postgame show that I did with Kevin Cooney back in August of when I said just like, well, Stefanski and Sirianni look like they're buddies. He could be your new offensive coordinator next year. Just like as a joke of like, this Patullo thing might not work out. It'd be great. And that's part of the reason why I'm so in on Stefanski. I'll be honest about it. I would love to have like that, just bullseyed that.
You'll go back and find it so you're right?
Yeah. Like I think I would probably play that on. I would show up on a random weekend to just do an hour show where I just played that on loop.
Stefanski unlikely to be
available to be an offensive coordinator.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because in a second. in a second.
Yeah.
What about some of the younger guys that don't have the experience like all the Rams guys? Clint Kubiak's been an offensive coordinator, hasn't called plays.
That's the issue. Do I think that they are better offensive minds than what we had? Yes.
The Eagles have shown that they're willing to go above the obvious choice with Andy Reid, right? With Nick Sirianni.
Right.
So if you're impressed by the guy and everybody tells you, yep, he's going to be really good, I don't know. I mean, you can't be afraid to trust your instincts on whether they're a good coach or not. And the Eagles have done a good job with that.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. There were a lot of guys that hadn't called plays that were good offensive minds that were out there after you won the Super Bowl, and you decided, you know what, I'm going to go with the gut of picking
Sirianni. No, that was a Sirianni decision. I'm telling you.
I know it was. It's
You know that Howie Roseman was iffy on that, right? You know that.
Yeah.
And after you win a Super Bowl like that,
you get the leeway to do it.
You kind of got to give Nick Sirianni that, because otherwise
Now he never will.
No, that's over.
That's over. But yeah, they learned a lot working with McVay. So maybe that's why I can hold my hat on. I just feel like I'm going to, and maybe it's because I don't want to do 9 months of this guy's never called plays, but it does worry. It does worry me, just given what we've watched.
All right. Well, I mean, right now, any minute they could be joining us. You know what, Ray? We're going to end up working later and longer than we would originally if they just would have not had the press conference at all.
By the way, the two guys that host at 2 o'clock, I mean, they're getting, obviously, their first segment cleared out. They lurk over your guys' shoulders for the last 15 minutes of the show every single day, right? They're lurking right there.
Where are they today?
Nowhere to be found, because they don't want to get called into the studio to do more work. They don't want to do a crossover with us before this.
No.
Because, you know what? It's really because Kyle Rulo's guy's going to get griddled, is what he's worried about. He's sitting here already figuring out the spin zone for the fact that
I don't like tardiness.
15 minutes late, it's going to say something idiotic. That's what it is. They don't want to be a part of this.
I mean, he's going to have his notes today, though, right?
Oh,
so
he
should be good.
And that's in my notes.
Yeah, talk about the fine line of winning in this freaking league. I'm just saying, because I notice every day when we're doing the YouTube chat recap, they got, the two of them staring in like you guys are exhibits at a zoo. And today they're nowhere to be found because they know now, oh, look at this. It's going to be a 45-minute presser. Their first two segments are wiped out.
But, I mean, part of the problem with working afternoon drive is, as I've done between working with Mike and working with Ike, like 12 years of doing afternoon drive, you wait all day to go on the air.
Yeah.
So by 1:45, they're just ready to go on the air. Ricky's been here for a couple hours.
Right.
Bill's been preparing for 3 hours, over-prepared to go on the air. They just want to go on the air. Today, they know they're not going on the air at 2, so they're comfortable back there.
Right. And for Ricky, though, you'd think he'd be used to that. That was his entire career. You're waiting until you're called upon.
Correct.
Yeah, you would think that's a very,
but
simplistic.
Personality-wise, like Mariano Rivera used to be able to take a nap.
Yeah.
Ricky ain't taking a nap in the 6th inning because he knows he's coming in the 9th.
No, absolutely not. He's making comments about whatever's happening in the game.
He's getting another cup of coffee in the 6th inning.
Right, yeah. This guy's going to strike out. This guy's going to hit a home run. It's just amazing. I just assumed that they would be, ready to go. I thought maybe they would come in, like we'd be able to cross it over, have some fun with them while we were waiting, but, whatever.
Negative.
That's all right. It's just amazing every single time.
I don't like
every
tardiness.
single time.
We've missed out on the YouTube chat recap because we thought we'd be in the press conference. We've had to redistribute commercials. So I think all this stuff has happened.
Poor chatters, man. I mean, they got nothing.
A lot of times they'll give a heads up down the line and say, is he there? All right. Well, like a lot of time they'll give the heads up down the line that, hey, coming up in a couple minutes. All right, so we'll get ready or whatever. So there's no. So it seems like we may have Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman because there has been a standby thing. How do you think they're dressed today?
Do we have a BG shirt on Sirianni? Campaign for one more year?
I'd prefer a tank top. Like he just came off of the beach in Avalon drinking Miller Lite.
We going to find out that Lori is on buying a boat somewhere right now to
That's
get
what
away
happens.
from the frustrations.
He might buy an island. Here they are.
How about it?
Hey, Nick, as things were going poorly on offense as the season went on, why not make a change at offensive coordinator, play caller during the season?
Yeah, we did some different things as we continued to go through. Like I told you guys, I did more, got involved more.